My son called me old-fashioned with one hand in our refrigerator and the other holding a bottle of mustard he had no intention of using. "You always do this," Ryan said. "You decide mom is too tired or too fragile. Then you swoop in like she's some helpless little wife from 1955. I closed the refrigerator door. He moved his elbow just in time. "She said she doesn't want to host this year. She says that every year, then everybody comes, she has a great time, and afterward she talks about it for a month. She talks about what went wrong for a month." Ryan laughed, not a cruel laugh. That would have been easier. It was the patient little chuckle adults use when an older person can't work the television remote. "Dad, you're old-fashioned. Mom doesn't need you protecting her from her own family." Ellen was standing behind him. Ryan saw my eyes shift and turned around. My wife had come in through the mudroom without either of us hearing her. She was holding a canvas grocery bag against her hip, her fingers curled awkwardly around the straps. "No," she said. "I asked him to protect me from this." Ryan's face changed. Then Ellen looked at me. But I shouldn't have needed him to speak for me. For a few seconds, none of us moved. I couldn't tell which of us had just been forgiven and which had been found guilty. The refrigerator started beeping because Ryan hadn't shut it all the way. He turned and pushed it closed harder than necessary. A glass bottle rattled in the door. "Okay," he said. Clearly I walked into something. "You walked into my kitchen," Ellen said, "and started planning my Labor Day." "Our Labor Day. That's the problem." She set the grocery bag on the counter. A lemon rolled out, hit the toaster, and stopped. I reached for the bag automatically. "I've got it," she said. My hand stopped halfway there. Ryan noticed. He noticed everything when he believed it proved his point. "There," he said, gesturing between us. That's exactly what I'm talking about." Ellen pulled out another lemon, a bunch of parsley, and a carton of eggs. "You're talking about one bag of groceries because you don't want to talk about 32 people. 28. You invited the Thompsons. They're practically family. They're your wife's neighbors. They were there last year. They came over for pie. And they loved it. Of course they loved it. They arrived after dinner and ate pie. I turned away so Ryan wouldn't see me smile. Ellen caught it anyway. "This isn't funny, Frank." "No, ma'am." Ryan gave me a look. "You don't have to call her ma'am. We've been married 41 years. I know what I have to call her." That almost got Ellen. One corner of her mouth pulled in, then flattened. Ryan took his phone off the counter and tapped the screen. He had arrived 20 minutes earlier, carrying 2 iced coffees, and the energy of a man who had already made decisions for several people. One coffee was for him. The other was for Ellen, with cinnamon on top, because she liked it that way 5 years ago. He hadn't brought me anything, which was fine. What bothered me was that he drank half of Ellen's after she said she didn't want it. He held up his phone now. "I have the guest list right here. We can cut the Thompsons if that's the issue." "The issue is there shouldn't be a guest list," Ellen said. Ryan stared at her. "There are moments when a person hears every word you say and still waits for the real sentence." Ryan was waiting for the version in which his mother complained about the workload, he promised to help, and everybody returned to their assigned positions. Ellen put the eggs in the refrigerator. "I'm not hosting Labor Day this year, all right? So, we scale it back. No. We do one day instead of the whole weekend. No. I'll handle the grill. You always handle the grill. You stand outside with a beer and ask where I put the tongs. They move every year. They're in the drawer beside the stove. They have lived there longer than Vanessa has known you." Ryan glanced at me again, looking for the usual rescue. I had often stepped in at that point, translating Ellen's no into something he could accept. "Your mother's just tired. Let's talk next week. Maybe we can make it simpler." Every translation turned a period into a comma. 2 nights earlier, I had found Ellen sitting at the kitchen table, at 1 in the morning, with 3 old recipe cards laid out in front of her. The overhead light was off. She had only the yellow glow from the stove, and for one foolish second, I thought she had fallen asleep there. Then I saw her flexing her right hand. I asked if it was hurting again. She said, "I can't do Labor Day. Just that." I pulled out the chair across from her. "Then we won't." Her eyes filled so fast it scared me more than the hand. She wasn't a woman who cried because she had too much to do. Ellen got angry, organized a drawer, and made the rest of us nervous. But that night, she told me she had spent the past 3 weeks waking up with lists in her head. Sheets for the guest room, towels for the basement shower. Whether Ryan's cousin Lisa still avoided onions. whether my brother would bring up politics before dessert, whether Vanessa would offer to help, and whether Ryan would volunteer her before she had the chance. I hate it, Ellen said. I hate the whole thing, and I hate myself for hating it. I told her she had nothing to feel guilty about. That was when she said, "You enjoy it." I started to deny it, but she gave me the look that had ended arguments since 1986. She was right. I did enjoy it. I complained about folding chairs and people blocking the driveway, but I liked waking up to a full house. I liked being the man everyone came to when a handle broke or a car wouldn't start. I liked my brother telling people I could fix anything. Most of all, I liked watching Ellen move through the noise with everybody calling her name. I had mistaken being needed for being loved too. I just got to feel noble about it because my work came with tools. "What do you want me to do?" I asked her. "Tell Ryan before he starts inviting people." So, I had. Now she stood in front of him, saying the part she had asked me to say, because he had refused to hear it in my voice. Ryan slid his phone into his pocket. "What happened?" he asked. "Nothing happened. Something had to happen." "Why?" "Because you love Labor Day. I loved parts of it. You said it was your favorite weekend. I also said those centerpieces you made in 3rd grade were beautiful." His mouth opened, then closed. I looked down at the counter. The lemon beside the toaster had a little brown scar in its skin. Ellen rubbed it with her thumb, as if deciding whether it mattered. Ryan leaned back against the sink. "Is this about your hands?" "It's about my hands, and my back, and people asking what time dinner is while I'm holding dinner. It's about waking up Monday with a house that smells like wet towels and lighter fluid. It's about everybody thanking me after they've packed their cars. I help. You bring ice, I do more than bring ice. You also ask if we have enough ice." He looked at me again. "Are you going to let her do this?" Ellen went still. I felt the old answer rise in me before I could stop it. She can do what she wants. That sounded correct, but it put me in the middle again, granting permission nobody had requested. So, I kept my mouth shut. Ryan waited. I had been a quiet man most of my life, but silence isn't always restraint. Sometimes it is just the place you hide, while a woman beside you carries the sentence. Ellen nodded once, almost to herself. "There won't be a reunion here this year," she said. "You need to tell anyone you've already invited." "Why do I have to tell them?" "Because I didn't invite them. You're putting me in a terrible position." "No, Ryan, I'm leaving you in the position you created." His face tightened. He had Ellen's eyes, which meant anger made him look wounded even when he was the one doing the wounding. "Does Claire know about this?" The question surprised Ellen. "What does Claire have to do with it?" "I don't know. You two talked last Sunday. I talked to your sister most Sundays. For 14 minutes. Ellen glanced at me. "Are you timing my calls now?" "No." "It showed up when I called you, and the line was busy. That is a very different sentence." Ryan pushed away from the sink. "I'm just saying Claire has always hated the reunion." "She doesn't hate the reunion. She hasn't come in 3 years. She lives 800 miles away. She manages to travel for other things." Ellen's thumb pressed harder into the lemon. Claire had stopped explaining her absences. At first, she blamed work, then airfare, then a friend's wedding. The last year she came, she and Ryan argued in the garage, and she left before breakfast on Sunday. Ellen asked me to find out what happened. I asked Claire. She said, "You already know." I told her not to upset her mother. That had seemed like kindness at the time. "You're not making Claire responsible for this," Ellen said. "I'm asking a question." "No, you're looking for someone to blame because you don't like my answer." Ryan picked up his coffee. The ice had melted, leaving pale streaks down the cup. "Fine. We'll do it at our place." Ellen blinked. "Do what?" "Labor Day. We'll host. That's your choice." His confidence returned so quickly it was almost impressive. "Actually, that solves everything. You can relax, Dad can stop guarding the castle, and everybody still gets to be together. Ryan, you won't have to lift a finger, Mom." I saw Ellen look at the parsley, then at the eggs, as if those ordinary things were easier to understand than her son. Ryan was already tapping his phone again. "Our yard's smaller, so I'll need your folding tables," he said to me. "And probably the 2 long extension cords. We can set up Friday." He smiled. "Come on, Dad. You know I can't get those tables down the basement stairs alone." There it was, the first assignment, delivered less than a minute after he promised Ellen she wouldn't have to lift a finger. "I'll check with your mother," I said. Both of them looked at me. Ellen's expression was tired. Ryan's was triumphant. I heard what I had done too late. I had made her the gatekeeper of my help, which meant the pressure would find its way back to her. The habit was so old it could speak through me without asking. "No," I corrected. "I won't be helping you set up." Ryan's smile disappeared. Ellen looked surprised, but she didn't look relieved. Not yet. My son put his phone in his pocket, picked up the coffee he had bought for his mother, and took it with him when he left. The kitchen door slammed hard enough to shake the little wooden sign Ellen kept above it. "Family gathers here," it said. We both watched it swing crooked on its nail. I reached up to straighten it. Ellen said, "Leave it," so I did. The sign stayed crooked through lunch. Ellen sliced one of the lemons and squeezed it over 2 pieces of salmon. She did it with both hands around the lemon half, jaw set, refusing the little metal press I had bought her last winter. I rinsed the parsley and kept my opinions to myself. We had become extremely polite. "Would you like the oven at 400? I asked. "That would be lovely. Foil or parchment? Whatever you think is best. I think we're out of parchment." "Then why did you ask?" I was creating an atmosphere of cooperation. "You're doing terrific." I took the foil out of the bottom drawer. It caught on itself and tore down the middle. Ellen watched me struggle for a few seconds, then took pity and held the box steady while I pulled. We ate at the kitchen table with the crooked sign visible over her shoulder. Ryan's abandoned mustard sat between us. Neither of us had put it away. After a while, I said, "When you said you shouldn't have needed me to speak for you, I knew you'd get there eventually. Was that meant for him or me?" "Yes." I put down my fork. Ellen sighed and moved her salmon around the plate. "That isn't fair." "It might be." "No." "I asked you to tell him. Then I stood there and made it sound like you'd silenced me. You didn't make it sound like anything. I was angry. You had reason, and you loved it. That caught me." "Loved what?" "Telling Ryan no." "I did not love it. You got that look." "What look?" "The one you get when somebody finally gives you permission to say what you've been practicing in the garage." "I don't practice arguments in the garage. You explain carburetors to people who aren't there. That is completely different." She looked down, but I saw the smile. Then it faded. "You wanted to protect me, Frank. I know that. But you also wanted to be the one who finally put Ryan in his place." I leaned back. The chair gave its familiar complaint beneath me. "You asked me to tell him. I know. Would you rather I hadn't?" "No, I would rather I hadn't needed to ask." The refrigerator hummed. Outside, somebody started a lawnmower and immediately stopped it, as if reconsidering the whole afternoon. Ellen touched the base of her thumb. "I've been thinking about what I was going to say to him for weeks. Every version sounded selfish. Then selfish is a word he taught you to be afraid of." She looked at me sharply. "That's exactly what I mean. What did I do? You turned it into something he did to me. Something you can defend me from. He did do it. We all did it." I didn't answer. She pointed her fork toward the room around us. "You like the reunion?" "I like parts of the reunion. I kept saying yes. You kept telling people I was amazing. Ryan kept believing it. Claire stopped coming. Everybody got what they wanted except the person they blamed for leaving. Claire never said it was because of Labor Day. She never said it wasn't. She hardly says anything to us anymore. Maybe she got tired of explaining. That felt aimed with care. I carried our plates to the sink. Ellen didn't stop me. When I turned on the water, my phone buzzed on the counter. Ryan had created a group message. "New venue, same family" was the first line, followed by a little house symbol and 3 exclamation points. He explained that he and Vanessa would be hosting this year, so Mom could finally relax and let the rest of us spoil her. He had already put their address beneath it, though everyone in the message had been to their house. The replies came in before I finished reading. My brother Walt sent a thumbs up. His wife Diane sent 6 red hearts and offered to bring her 7-layer salad. Ellen's cousin Joanne wrote, "Ellen deserves a rest." Then Ryan wrote, "Dad may need help accepting the change, but he'll come around." I showed Ellen. She read the message twice. Her face didn't move until she reached that last line. "Well," she said, "that was quick. He's making me sound like the problem. You were so excited to be the problem an hour ago." "That doesn't mean I want him doing the advertising." Her phone began chiming in the bedroom. She had left it on her nightstand that morning because the battery was low. One chime became 4, then 7. Neither of us went to get it. Ryan's message continued to fill with enthusiasm. People who had never offered to wash a serving spoon were suddenly volunteering decorative napkins. My sister-in-law Diane asked whether Ellen would still make her corn casserole because it isn't Labor Day without it. Before Ellen could see that, I turned my phone face down. She noticed. "Don't protect me from the text messages." I wasn't. "You just hid the phone." I turned it over. Because? Because Diane's corn casserole message made me want to say something unhelpful. What? That the recipe is printed on the back of the corn muffin box. Ellen laughed once despite herself. She thinks there's a secret. The secret is 2 sticks of butter, 1.5. See? You're already helping. Her laugh vanished. "I'm sorry," I said. "You should be. I was trying to make you laugh." "You did. Then you made it my job again." Her phone kept chiming in the bedroom. I had never realized how many traps could fit inside a perfectly ordinary Saturday. Walt called me before we finished cleaning the kitchen. He didn't start with hello. "What did you do?" I walked out to the back porch, mostly because Ellen had begun scrubbing the same clean section of counter. "Nice talking to you, too. Ryan says you canceled Labor Day." Ryan says a lot for a man who hasn't asked a question. He's worried about his mother. His mother is 10 feet away from me. A pause. "Can she hear us?" "Why?" "I don't know." "You sound tense." "You called and asked what I did." "Well, did you two have a fight?" "No." "Then why did you cancel?" "We didn't cancel." Ellen decided not to host. Another pause. Longer this time. "Is she okay?" The concern in his voice was real. That made it worse. "She's fine." Because Ryan made it sound like maybe she's not herself. My hand tightened around the phone. "What exactly did he say?" "That you've been hovering since her hands got bad, doing everything for her, deciding who can come over. I told him she didn't want 30 people in our house for 3 days. I'm not taking sides. You called me to ask what I did. I'm asking because I care. No, you're asking because our son gave you a version in which Ellen only disagrees with him when I'm controlling her." The screen door opened behind me. Ellen stepped onto the porch and held out her hand. I gave her the phone. "Hi, Walt," she said. "I'm myself." I could hear him stumbling through an explanation. "No, Frank didn't cancel anything," she said. "I did." She listened. "Yes, my hands hurt." "No, I'm not confused. No, I don't need a doctor." Her eyebrows lifted at whatever came next. "You're right. That wasn't what you said. It was just where you were heading." She sat in the porch chair and looked out at the yard while he talked. Our tomato plants had outgrown their cages and fallen against each other, a green tangle with a few red spots buried inside. "No, you don't have to pick a side," she said. "You just have to stop pretending this is a hostage situation." I leaned against the railing. "Of course I still want to see you. I want to see Diane too. I just don't want to wash your sheets after you leave." She listened again, then smiled without warmth. "Yes, I know you stripped the bed. You leave the sheets in a pile on the floor, as if the mattress undressed itself." I had to turn my face away. When she hung up, she handed me the phone. "He's calling Ryan." "Good." "No, not good. Now Ryan will think we sent him. I don't care what Ryan thinks. I do." The answer came out so quickly that I didn't have time to cover my disappointment. Ellen saw it. "He's my son. He's mine too." "Then why is it easier for you to be angry?" "Because I've had practice in the garage." That got a real laugh, though she covered it with her hand. We stayed on the porch until the shadows from the maple tree crossed the steps. Ellen told me she didn't want me answering any more calls for her. I agreed. Then she told me she didn't want me coaching her before she answered them either. "I don't coach. You say things like, 'Remember, you don't owe anyone an explanation.' That's not coaching, that's support. It's a line you want me to deliver." I rubbed the back of my neck. "What am I supposed to do? Believe me even if I do it badly." That landed somewhere I couldn't reach with a joke. Her phone rang inside. She looked through the screen door but didn't move. "Could be Ryan," I said. That was almost coaching. I was identifying a possibility. It could also be somebody calling about the extended warranty on my car. "You should take that. Those people seem committed." She went inside and came back with the phone pressed to her ear. "Hi, sweetheart," she said. "Claire." I started toward the yard. Ellen caught the back of my shirt with 2 fingers. "Stay." So I sat on the porch step while she took the chair again. "No, nothing's wrong," she said. Then, after a pause, "Actually, something is wrong, but not the way Ryan is telling it." I could hear Claire's voice, low and quick, but not the words. Yes, I canceled, Ellen said. No, I'm not being held against my will by your father. Another burst from Claire. I'm glad you find that funny. She listened longer this time. Her free hand moved to the base of her thumb. No, she said. I didn't know you felt that way. The voice on the other end stopped. Ellen looked at me. What did you tell her? She asked. I knew the answer before Claire said it. I could hear my own words from 3 years earlier, spoken in the garage while everybody else ate breakfast inside. Whatever your problem is with Ryan, don't do this today. Your mother needs the family together. Claire's voice came through the phone, clear enough now for both of us. Dad told me the reunion mattered more to you than I did. Ellen stared at me. I opened my mouth, but she lifted one finger. For once, she was not asking me to speak. Ellen kept her finger raised while Claire waited on the other end. Tell me what happened, she said. Claire answered too softly for me to hear. Ellen listened without looking away from me. I sat on the porch step with my elbows on my knees, feeling like a man waiting outside the principal's office, though every person involved was old enough to have lower back pain. When was this? Ellen asked. A pause. Why didn't you tell me? Claire said something that made Ellen close her eyes. All right, she said. That was a bad question. I'm sorry. I knew exactly when it had been. 3 years earlier, Claire had come for Labor Day after missing the year before. She arrived Friday evening with one small suitcase and a grocery store bouquet, because she knew flowers made Ellen happy and also knew better than to bring something that needed arranging. By Saturday afternoon, Ryan had volunteered her to drive Joanne back to her hotel, pick up 2 bags of ice on the way, and stop at a pharmacy because Diane had forgotten her allergy medicine. Claire said no. Ryan acted as if she had refused to pull a stranger from a burning car. They argued in the garage because Claire didn't want Ellen to hear. I followed them and shut the door behind me. Claire said she was tired of Ryan assigning jobs to every woman in the family while he stood near the grill congratulating himself. Ryan told her she only came home to criticize people. She told him he confused being charming with being useful. That one hit its target. He left through the side door, and I stayed behind with Claire. She asked if I agreed with her. I told her that wasn't the point. Then she said, It's always the point, Dad. You just don't like the answer. I asked her to let it go for Ellen's sake. She said Ellen looked exhausted. I said the weekend mattered to her. Claire said maybe what mattered was having somebody give her permission to stop. That was when I told my daughter not to make her mother choose. Claire packed before breakfast the next morning. I never told Ellen what we said. On the porch, Ellen lowered her finger, but still didn't invite me into the conversation. Did I ask you to come that year? She asked Claire. The answer was apparently yes. Did I say I needed the family together? Another yes, but a longer one. Ellen's shoulders dropped slightly. I should have felt relieved that at least part of my memory was true. I didn't. I did want you there, she said. That's not the same as wanting you miserable. Claire's voice sharpened enough that I caught a few words. Always said that. Ryan, keep the peace. Ellen looked toward the fallen tomato plants. You're right. I had heard her say those words hundreds of times. About directions. About whether the chicken needed another 10 minutes. About which actor had been in which movie. I had never heard them cost her that much. No, I'm not saying that to end the argument, she said. I'm saying you're right. Claire went quiet. Ellen waited, then said, I was afraid if I admitted the reunion was too much, everybody would stop coming. You did stop coming, and I told myself it was because you didn't care. Her voice caught on the last word. She cleared her throat. That was easier than wondering whether you stayed away because of us. I looked down at the porch boards. One screwhead had worked its way above the wood. I pressed it with my thumb, though I knew that wouldn't fix it. Claire spoke for a while. Ellen listened. Twice she started to interrupt and stopped herself. No, she said finally. I don't think your father meant you didn't matter, Claire answered. I know. Meaning it and saying it aren't the same thing. That sentence was for me. Ellen ended the call after promising they would talk again during the week. Not tomorrow, Claire had said. She had plans. I was glad she said it. A small refusal was better than false eagerness. When the screen went dark, Ellen held the phone in her lap. I didn't say the reunion mattered more than she did. You told her not to make me choose. I thought she was leaving to punish Ryan. She was leaving because she was hurt. I know that now. You knew it then. I knew she was angry. She told you why. Claire tells people why, like she's presenting evidence to a jury. It can be hard to hear the hurt underneath. Ellen gave me a look that said I had better not get comfortable inside that excuse. I stood and leaned against the porch post. I thought, if she left, you'd blame yourself. So, you blamed her for me. I was trying to get everybody through the weekend. There was always a weekend, or a birthday, or somebody's anniversary. We were always getting through something. I made a mistake. You made me the reason you did it. That stopped me. She put the phone on the little table beside her. You told Claire to accept whatever Ryan did because I needed the family together. Did you ever tell Ryan to stop because I needed Claire? No. Why? I could have said Ryan was harder to confront. It would have been true, but not complete. Ryan argued in circles until exhaustion looked like agreement. Claire, for all her sharpness, usually left, before she said something she couldn't take back. I had called that dramatic, when it was actually the only boundary she trusted us to respect. Because I thought Claire could handle it, I said. Ellen's laugh was quiet and bitter. There it is. What? We always give the most pain to the person we think can carry it. She stood. Her right hand slipped on the chair arm, and I moved without thinking. My fingers closed around her elbow. She froze. I let go at once. I'm not made of glass, she said. I know. You grabbed me like I was falling. You slipped. I adjusted my hand. Fine. Don't say fine like that. How would you like me to say it? I'd like you to admit that you don't know the difference between helping me and needing to help me. That seems like an awfully large conclusion from a porch chair. And Ryan's entitlement came from nowhere? I stared at her. She stared back, breathing harder now. There are fights that begin with the thing you're fighting about. And there are fights that have been waiting behind the furniture for 20 years. This was the second kind. It knew the layout. I never taught Ryan to treat you like a servant. No? You taught him that a good man notices a woman struggling and quietly finishes the job. You never taught him to ask why she was doing the job in the first place. That's not fair. I know it isn't entirely fair. Then don't say it. Why? You get to say imperfect things when you're angry, so do you. I'm allowed to tell you they're imperfect. She picked up her phone. Where are you going? To lie down. Do you want? No. She went inside before I could finish proving her point. I stayed on the porch and tightened the loose screw with the pocket knife I carried. It was the wrong tool, but I didn't want to go into the garage for the right one. I pressed the flat edge into the slot and turned until the screw sat flush. Then I pulled it back out a quarter turn. I don't know why. Maybe I was trying to prove I could leave something less than fixed. My phone buzzed. Ryan had written privately, "Nice job getting Uncle Walt involved." I typed, "I didn't get him involved." He called me. 3 dots appeared immediately. He said Mom sounded upset. She is upset. Because you're turning a family weekend into some kind of referendum on her entire life. I read the sentence twice. Ryan had always been good with words. He could make a wound sound like a scheduling dispute. She decided not to host, I wrote, and now she's crying to Claire about things that happened years ago. I hadn't told him she was crying. Ellen hadn't cried, not on the porch. Either Claire had called him after talking to us, or Ryan was guessing and calling the guest proof. I wrote, "You need to stop telling people she doesn't know what she wants." He answered, "You need to stop answering for her." The screen door opened. Ellen stood there with her purse over one shoulder. "I'm going to the store." "You just went." "I forgot coffee." "You don't drink much coffee, I'm going to buy some so I can forget it next time too." "All right." She watched me tuck my phone into my pocket. "Ryan?" "Yes." "What did he say?" I hesitated. Her expression hardened. "Frank." I handed her the phone. She read the messages without touching the screen. When she reached the last one, her lips parted. "He knows I called Claire?" "Apparently." "I didn't call her. She called me. That distinction hasn't slowed him down today." Ellen gave the phone back. "Don't answer. I wasn't going to." "You were thinking about it? I think about a lot of things. You wear your thoughts in your forehead. I've been told my forehead is distinguished by a woman selling you expensive face cream at the mall. She seemed sincere. The joke didn't work. Ellen adjusted the purse strap on her shoulder, wincing when her fingers caught. I waited. She waited too. "Do you want me to drive?" I asked. "No." "Do you want company?" "No." "All right." I held the screen door open. She stepped through without looking at me, then stopped at the top of the porch stairs. "Do you know what bothers me most?" she asked. I was learning not to guess. He honestly believes you wrote my words for me, she said, and part of me is afraid everybody else will believe it too. I don't. You believed I needed you to deliver them. That's different. It is. But not as different as you want. She walked to her car. I watched her back out too fast, brake at the end of the driveway, then continue down the street. Inside, her phone was ringing. She had left it on the little porch table. I looked at the screen. Vanessa. I let it ring until the call ended. A second later, a message appeared. Hi, Ellen. Ryan says you're still willing to make the corn casserole and pies if I pick them up. Is that right? Please tell me if I've misunderstood. I read it once and put the phone down. Then I picked it up again, not to answer, only to make sure I had seen it correctly. The phone rang in my hand, Vanessa again. I carried it inside and set it on the kitchen counter beside the mustard. It kept ringing while I stood there, looking at my own reflection in the black microwave door. When it stopped, I opened the refrigerator and put the mustard away. The wooden sign above the mudroom door was still crooked. This time, I didn't touch it. Ellen came home 40 minutes later with no coffee and a paper bag from the hardware store. She put it on the table. What did Vanessa want? She asked. I should not have been surprised that she had remembered her phone. Ellen forgot objects, not obligations. She texted. I handed it to her. She read Vanessa's message, once, then again. I never told him I'd make anything. I know. He told her I would. I know. Why would he do that? I nearly answered because he thinks you'll give in. It was the obvious answer, which made it dangerous. I don't know, I said. Ellen looked at me for a long moment. That was hard for you, wasn't it? You have no idea. She reached into the hardware store bag and took out a new hook, a tiny level and a packet of wall anchors. For the sign? I asked. I'm moving it. Where? I haven't decided. We stood under the crooked words together. Her phone chimed again. Ryan had added another message to the family conversation. Mom's overwhelmed everyone. Please give her some space. I'll coordinate everything from here. Ellen's face went pale. Then the messages of love began arriving, one after another, all addressed to her, and none asking what she wanted. She pressed the button on the side of the phone until the screen went black. Help me take down the sign, she said. I reached for the hook. She handed me the tiny level instead. I'll do the hook. So I stood beside my wife, holding a tool that could only tell us how crooked something was, while she took the whole thing off the wall. The hook came out of the wall with a small crumble of plaster. Ellen caught it in her palm. Behind the sign was a clean rectangle, brighter than the rest of the paint, with 2 pencil marks from where I had measured badly the first time. One mark was level. The other was the one I had used. Where do you want it? I asked. On the table. I meant eventually. So did I. She laid the wooden sign face down beside the hardware store bag. I held up the level because I was still holding it and had begun to feel foolish. Drawer beside the refrigerator, she said. That's where tools go to die. That's where this one lives now. I put it in the drawer between a flashlight with weak batteries and 3 rolls of tape fused together by age. When I turned around, Ellen had powered her phone back on. 31 messages waited. She scrolled without opening them. Names appeared in small circles at the top of the screen. Walt, Diane, Joanne, 2 cousins I couldn't remember seeing since the last funeral. Ryan had managed to transform her refusal to cook into a family medical event. Vanessa called again. Ellen stared at the name. You don't have to answer, I said. Her eyes moved to me. I heard it. I'm sorry. No coaching, I know. The ringing stopped, then started again. Ellen answered. Hi, Vanessa. I moved toward the living room. Stay, she said. I sat at the kitchen table. The wooden sign was between us, face down, like a body being identified. No, I'm all right, Ellen said into the phone. I left my phone here by accident. Vanessa spoke quickly. I could hear the worry, but not the words. No. Frank didn't keep it from me. I was at the store. Another burst. Yes, by myself. Ellen's mouth tightened. Why would I need him to drive me? She listened, then looked at me. I lifted both hands to show I had no statement prepared. I'm not upset with you, she told Vanessa. I'm upset that Ryan said I offered to cook. I didn't. Vanessa's voice went quiet. No, not even the pies. A pause. How many people did he tell you? Whatever the number was, it wasn't 28. Ellen rubbed her forehead. There were 28 before he cut the Thompsons. Vanessa said something louder. No, I don't know why he counted your neighbors as my guests. I stared at the clean rectangle on the wall. Ryan had always been able to expand a plan in the space between one person's assumption and another person's politeness. Vanessa talked for almost a minute. Ellen didn't interrupt. I believe you, she said. I'm not blaming you. A pause. No, I won't tell him you called. Longer pause. I also won't lie if he asks. Vanessa gave a tired little laugh, loud enough for me to hear. Ellen's expression softened. Yes, I know exactly what you mean. When the call ended, she placed the phone on top of the sign. He told Vanessa it would be 18 people for one afternoon. Did she agree to that? She agreed to a barbecue. She thought everyone was bringing food. Reasonable. He told her I'd handle the dishes people expect. Less reasonable. He said you would bring the tables Friday and stay to help with the yard. I said I wouldn't. He told her you were irritated now, but you always come around. That sounded enough like me to sting. Ellen opened the group conversation. I'm going to respond. All right. I want you to read it before I send it. I thought you didn't want coaching. I don't. I want you to tell me if it sounds like you wrote it. That feels like a dangerous assignment. Most assignments become dangerous after Ryan accepts them for you. She typed with both thumbs, slowly because of her right hand. She stopped twice, deleted a sentence, and started again. When she finished, she held out the phone. I read, I'm not overwhelmed, confused, sick, or being kept away from anyone. I decided not to host Labor Day this year. Frank told Ryan because I asked him to. But the decision was mine. Ryan and Vanessa are welcome to hold any gathering they choose at their own home. I did not offer to cook for it, and I won't be providing casseroles, pies, or a menu. Please stop asking other people whether I'm okay. You can ask me. I gave the phone back. Well, it sounds like you. How do you know? It has a list. That's your professional assessment. You also use 3 different forms of the word host correctly. Frank, it doesn't sound like me. Why not? I would have said something about Diane learning to read the back of a muffin box. She almost smiled. Send it, I said. Her thumb hovered over the arrow. I watched her face tighten as though she were stepping onto ice. Then she pressed it. The message appeared. For 12 seconds, nothing happened. Joanne was first. Of course, Ellen. We all love you. Diane added, nobody meant to upset you, followed by 2 hearts. Walt wrote, understood. One cousin removed himself from the conversation. That might be the smartest response, I said. Ellen turned the phone over. Ryan came through the mudroom door 25 minutes later without knocking. He stopped when he saw the bare rectangle on the wall. What happened to the sign? I took it down, Ellen said. Why? Because I wanted to. He looked at me. Were you going to answer that one too? No. Good. You've answered enough. Ellen remained seated. I was standing by the sink, drying a glass that had been dry for some time. You don't walk into our house and speak to your father that way, she said. Our house, Ryan repeated. Okay. I set the glass down. Ellen glanced at me. It was enough. I stayed where I was. Ryan pulled out the chair across from her, but didn't sit. Do you understand what that message makes me look like? A man who told people I was overwhelmed when I wasn't. I was trying to protect you. The words landed so perfectly that nobody could pretend not to hear them. Ellen leaned back. Ryan realized it too. That's not what I meant. What did you mean? People were piling on. Uncle Walt was calling. Claire was getting involved. I was trying to calm everybody down. You told them to give me space, because I thought you needed space. You thought I needed pies too. His jaw tightened. Vanessa called you? Yes. I asked her not to drag you into the planning. You dragged me into the planning before she knew there was a plan. I told her you usually handle a few things. You told her I had agreed. I said you would probably still want to make the things people look forward to. That isn't agreement. It's knowing you. Ellen looked at him for a long moment. No, she said. It's knowing how to wait until I feel guilty. Ryan finally sat. He leaned forward, forearms on the table, hands clasped. For the first time that day, he looked less angry than frightened. If we don't do this, people stop coming. That's what I was afraid of too. And you're just fine with that now? No? Then I don't understand. You think if something scares me, I'm required to keep feeding it. That's not what this is. Then tell me what it is. He looked around the kitchen as though the answer might be hidden among the cabinets. It's the one weekend everybody shows up, he said. Claire already barely talks to us. Uncle Walt and Diane spend half the year traveling. Joanne keeps saying she's going to move south. You and Dad aren't getting younger. Careful, I said. Ellen gave me a look, but Ryan let out a short breath that was almost a laugh. Then he looked back at her. I don't want us to become one of those families that only sees each other when somebody dies. The room went quieter. That was Ryan's gift. He could locate the true thing inside a bad argument and hold it up like it excused everything around it. Ellen's voice softened. Neither do I. Then why are you doing this? Because if the only reason everybody comes is that I work myself sick, we're already that family. We just have better food. Ryan sat back. You make it sound like nobody appreciates you. People appreciate me. They just don't always see me. I see you. You bought me coffee I haven't liked in 5 years. His face shifted. That's cheap, he said. It's specific. I was trying to do something nice. I know. You remembered a version of me and didn't check whether she was still here. Ryan looked toward me again. And Dad checks every 5 minutes? No, Ellen said. Your father has his own work to do. Meaning? Meaning this isn't a trial, and he isn't the winning side. I could have done without that sentence, but it was true. Ryan pushed his chair back. So, what do you want me to do? Cancel? That's between you and Vanessa. I'm asking you. No, you're asking me to own the choice so you can resent me for it. If I hold it, you'll say I'm disrespecting you. If I cancel, everybody blames me. That's what it feels like when your decision belongs to you. He stood so abruptly the chair legs scraped the floor. Are you coming? Ellen hesitated. I watched the hesitation wound him. Not because he had earned an immediate yes. Because some part of him had believed that whatever else changed, his mother's attendance was a natural resource. I don't know yet, she said. It's a family gathering, at your house, which is apparently a foreign country now. Nobody said that. You sent a message to the whole family, making me look like a liar. You lied. I made an assumption. You announced the assumption as my decision. He picked up his keys from the table. Ellen's phone buzzed where it lay face down. Ryan stared at it. Everybody's going to think I'm the bad guy now. Ellen's expression changed. Not harder, sadder. I don't want a bad guy, she said. I want a son who can hear no without needing somebody to be one. He left through the mudroom. The door didn't slam this time. Somehow, that felt worse. Ellen remained at the table. I took the chair Ryan had abandoned and set it upright. Don't, she said. It was in the middle of the floor. I know. I sat in the other chair instead. For a while we listened to his car pull away, then to nothing. I wanted to say yes, she said. To the gathering, to him. When he asked if I was coming. Why didn't you? Because he wasn't asking if I wanted to come. He was checking whether I still would. Her phone buzzed again. She turned it over. Claire had written privately. I'm proud of you. Also, I know you hate being told people are proud of you, so feel free to be annoyed. Ellen read it twice and handed it to me. What do I say? I'm retired from coaching. You were never employed. Then I'm volunteering less, she typed. I am annoyed. Call me Tuesday, Claire replied with a heart. Ellen looked at the bare patch above the mudroom door. Maybe the sign goes in the laundry room, I said. Why? That's where the family gathers after they leave. She laughed until she had to wipe her eyes, and I was smart enough not to ask whether she was laughing or crying. Then her phone chimed with a message from Ryan. It was addressed only to her. I canceled it. Hope that's what you wanted. Ellen stared at the screen. A second message appeared before she could answer. You win. Ellen didn't answer. The little word win sat beneath Ryan's name like a dare. If she defended herself, she was arguing. If she apologized, she was admitting guilt. If she said nothing, he could decide what her silence meant. She set the phone down. I hate that sentence. He designed it to be hated. Don't make him sound calculating. He's 39, Ellen. He can calculate. He's hurt. So are you. That doesn't make either of us right. I'm fairly confident you're right about not baking 6 pies against your will. That isn't the whole thing. No, but it's the part that involves pie, so I understand it best. She leaned her head against the chair and shut her eyes. You're enjoying being on my side. I wanted to deny it. Instead, I said, a little. At least you're honest. Would you like me to lie and give you something easier to be mad about? I already have plenty. Her phone buzzed. Diane had written in the family conversation. Please don't cancel because of us. We can all pitch in. Joanne followed with, absolutely. Nobody expects Ellen to do everything. Ellen read that one aloud. Nobody expects me to do everything, she said. They just keep asking what I'm making. My brother Walt proposed turning the weekend into a potluck. Somebody else suggested paper plates, as though Ellen had spent 30 years handcrafting porcelain between courses. Then Ryan posted, I appreciate everyone offering, but Mom has made her feelings clear. It's best to skip it this year. Ellen began typing. She stopped and deleted it, typed again. Deleted that too. What are you trying to say, I asked. That I didn't tell him to cancel. Then say that. If I say it in front of everybody, it sounds like I want him to hold it. Do you? I don't know. That's allowed. Not in a group message. In a group message, uncertainty is blood in the water. She opened the private exchange with Ryan and wrote slowly. I did not ask you to cancel. I asked you not to volunteer my work or speak for me. Decide what you and Vanessa want to do together, and don't call the decision mine. She showed it to me. It sounds like you, I said. You don't have to certify every message now. I thought that was my assignment. The position has been eliminated. She sent it. The message showed as delivered, then read. Ryan didn't answer. The family conversation continued without us. Diane volunteered her salad. Joanne offered baked beans. Walt said he could bring folding chairs even though he had borrowed 6 of ours the previous summer and never returned them. You should ask him for our chairs back, Ellen said. That feels like changing the subject. It's a separate issue. I'll add it to the agenda. There is no agenda. Then this family is finished. She laughed, but she kept looking at Ryan's unanswered message. The sign spent the night face down on the kitchen table. In the morning, I moved it so we could eat breakfast, then moved it back when Ellen came in. I didn't want her to think I had decided anything. She noticed. You know you can touch it. I'm trying to respect the process. It's a piece of wood, Frank. Yesterday it represented the collapse of the family. Today, it's under the salt. I slid it to the end of the table. Ellen flexed her right hand before picking up her coffee. She caught me watching and raised one eyebrow. I didn't move, I said. You thought about it. My thoughts are my own, not with that forehead. We ate toast. The phone stayed quiet for almost 10 minutes, which felt suspicious. Then Vanessa called. Ellen answered at the table and put the call on speaker without explanation. Hi, Vanessa said. Her voice sounded rough. I wanted to tell you I'm sorry. You already apologized. I'm apologizing for the new thing. Ellen closed her eyes briefly. What new thing? Ryan didn't talk to me before he canceled. I looked at Ellen. She looked at the ceiling. He sent me a screenshot after, Vanessa continued. He said you wouldn't be comfortable with us holding it. I didn't say that. I know. He showed me your message. That surprised me. He showed you the one where I told him to decide with you? Ellen asked. Yes. And then he decided without you. Yes. There was a silence in which 3 people understood more than any of us wanted to. Vanessa cleared her throat. I told him we're not canceling. Ellen sat straighter. Because you want to host? No. Because I'm not letting him cancel on my behalf after he volunteered me on yours. That is not a strong reason to invite 28 people into your home. 26. The Thompsons are going to her sister's lake place. Of course they are, I said. Vanessa laughed despite herself. Hi, Frank. Morning. I told Ryan we can do a one-day potluck. People bring chairs. People bring food. Nobody stays overnight. That sounds more manageable, Ellen said carefully. It does. It also sounds like I'm about to spend 3 weeks cleaning baseboards for people who won't look at them. Don't clean them. I know nobody looks. That's not why you clean them. Ellen smiled into her coffee. No, it isn't. Vanessa took a breath. I'd like you both to come. As guests. Don't bring anything. Ellen looked at me. I waited. We'll think about it, she said. Fair? And Vanessa? Yes? Don't hold this gathering to prove something to Ryan. A pause. I might be holding it to prove something to myself. That's usually more expensive. I'll keep that in mind. After they hung up, Ellen carried her mug to the sink. She's angry, I said. She has reason. Ryan's going to blame us. Ryan can get in line. I smiled. Don't look so pleased, she said. I didn't say anything. You practically sparkled. My own phone rang in the living room. Claire's name appeared. I took it outside. The morning was already warm. Somebody had left a newspaper at the end of our driveway, even though we hadn't subscribed in years. I stood looking at it while the phone rang a second time. Hi, sweetheart. Did Mom tell you to call me? You called me. Right. I forgot how phones work when I'm nervous. That makes two of us. Claire was quiet. I walked to the driveway and picked up the newspaper. It belonged 3 streets over. I'm sorry, I said. For what part? For telling you not to make your mother choose. For using her feelings to end an argument I didn't want to have. Claire breathed out. I continued before courage turned into explanation. I knew Ryan had hurt you. I decided you could handle being hurt better than he could handle being corrected. Nothing came from the other end. I was wrong, I said. You always thought I could handle things. I thought it was a compliment. It was when I graduated college. It wasn't when you needed somebody to lose. The newspaper crackled in my hand. I'm sorry, I said again. Are you expecting me to say it's okay? No. You sounded like you were waiting. I'm standing in the driveway holding a stranger's newspaper. I may just be confused generally. She made a small sound, not quite a laugh. Mom said you told Ryan you wouldn't help with the reunion. He's having it at his house now. I heard. He sent me a message saying Mom was having some kind of breakdown. He didn't use those words. He said she was questioning her role in the family. Ryan only uses that many syllables when he wants you to hear worse words underneath. That sounded like Claire. Did you answer? I asked if Mom knew he was diagnosing her. He didn't respond. Runs in the family, she laughed this time. Then her voice changed. Do you know why I came that last year? Because your mother asked. She always asked. I waited. Ryan told me Mom had been crying because I missed the year before, she said. He said she thought I was pulling away from everybody. Did she tell him that? I don't know. I never asked. I came because I thought I was hurting her. Then I got there, and she spent the whole weekend exhausted and happy that I'd shown up. I couldn't tell which part was real. Both, probably. That doesn't make it better. No. A car slowed near me. The driver pointed at the newspaper. I held it up, and she lowered her window. Wrong house, she called. Apparently. She drove on. Claire said, What are you doing? Returning property. You stole somebody's paper during our apology? It was in my driveway. Legally, I think I'm the victim. Still explaining. Right. I carried the newspaper toward the address printed on the plastic sleeve. I'm not asking you to come for Labor Day, I said. Good. I'm not asking you to forgive me. Good. I'd like to talk again. She didn't answer immediately. Maybe, she said. That one word felt better than an easy yes. When I got back, Ellen had moved the sign from the table to the counter. Not hung it, just moved it. How was Claire? She asked. Careful. How were you? Less careful than usual. Her phone chimed. Ryan had finally answered. Fine. We're hosting. Since Dad won't help, tell him he can at least bring the folding tables by Thursday. Ellen held the phone out. I read it and handed it back. What are you going to say? She asked. Nothing? Nothing? He asked you to tell me. I don't want to encourage inefficient communication. Her lips twitched. The family conversation chimed next. Ryan had announced that the gathering was back on as a simple potluck, and thanked Vanessa for stepping up. Vanessa replied beneath it. Nobody is stepping up. We are hosting together. There was no heart after her sentence. Ryan called me before I could put my phone down. I answered. Are you bringing the tables? He asked. No. You aren't even going to use them. That isn't the point. What is the point, Dad? That you keep confusing help with something you're entitled to. He gave a short laugh. You really think this is teaching me a lesson? No. I think it's keeping me from doing work I said I wouldn't do. Mom put you up to this. Across the kitchen, Ellen's face went still. I looked directly at her. No, I said. I learned it from watching her. Ryan was quiet for so long, I checked the screen to make sure the call hadn't dropped. You learned what? He asked. To listen when somebody says no. Oh, please. I've said no to the tables 3 times. They're tables, Dad. You're acting like I asked for a kidney. If I had 2 folding kidneys in the basement, you'd have already promised one to Walt. Across the kitchen, Ellen covered her mouth. Ryan heard her laugh. You've got me on speaker? No. Then why is Mom listening? Because she's in the room. Of course she is. I didn't know what that meant, and I was tired of finding out. You'll need to arrange your own tables, I said. You're really going to sit there while everybody else does the work? I looked at Ellen. The irony was so large it needed its own chair. Yes. Fine. Ryan hung up. I set the phone on the counter. Ellen lowered her hand. Folding kidneys? It arrived under pressure. It was very stupid. I agree. She was still smiling when she said, "You used me again." The smile left my face. What? I learned it from watching her. That was a compliment. It was also a way to win. I was not trying to win. You were talking to a man who had just accused you of being controlled by your wife. So you made your wife the source of your wisdom. I meant it. I know you meant it. That's why this is difficult. I opened my mouth and closed it. She touched the sign on the counter, tracing one painted letter with her fingertip. "You and Ryan both turned me into evidence," she said. "He uses me to prove you're controlling. You use me to prove you're changing. That's not what I want. Then change when nobody's watching." She carried her coffee into the living room. I stood alone in the kitchen until the refrigerator started beeping. I had left the door open after putting away the mustard. For the next week, Labor Day developed without our assistance, which did not prevent it from occupying most of our conversations. Diane announced she would bring both the 7-layer salad and deviled eggs. Joanne offered baked beans, then changed to macaroni salad after learning 2 other people had claimed beans. Walt found 4 card tables in his garage and sent photographs from different angles, as though the family needed to inspect them for structural damage. Our 6 folding chairs came home Tuesday evening. Walt leaned them against the garage door and rang the bell. "I thought Ryan might need them," I said. "He does." "Then why are they here?" Diane said. Returning them was the right thing to do. "That has never stopped you before." He looked past me into the house. "How's Ellen? She's inside. Ask her." His face tightened. I was trying not to make a thing of it. The safest way to avoid making a thing is not to begin a sentence with, "How's Ellen?" while looking over her husband's shoulder. Ellen called from the kitchen, "I'm still myself, Walt." He stepped inside, embarrassed. She gave him coffee. He apologized for the phone call, though he described it as checking in, which was an apology's nervous cousin. Ellen accepted it without making him comfortable too quickly. Before he left, he asked if we were going to Ryan's. "We haven't decided," Ellen said. Walt nodded. "Diane thinks you should. What do you think?" "I think Ryan's being an ass." "Walt," I said. "What?" "We're all adults. That has never been our strongest defense." Ellen laughed. Walt looked relieved, as though laughter meant the crisis had passed. Then Ellen said, "Ryan can be an ass and still be hurt. True. And I can be hurt without being right about everything. Also true." He glanced at me. "This is more complicated than Diane explained." "Most things are," Ellen said. After he left, I moved the chairs into the garage. I could have loaded them into my truck and delivered them to Ryan. It would have taken 12 minutes. I knew where he wanted them, knew the best route, knew he would forget to secure the back too, and scratch his kitchen wall carrying them inside. I left them against my workbench. Vanessa came by Thursday after work. She still wore navy slacks and a pale blouse, and there was a red mark on the bridge of her nose from the glasses she used at the dental office. She brought a paper bag containing 2 empty food containers Ellen had sent home with them weeks earlier. Nobody returns empty containers during family tension by accident. "I washed them," Vanessa said. "I can see that," Ellen replied. They stood in the kitchen holding opposite handles of the bag. "Do you want coffee?" I asked. Both women said no. I went to the garage. 10 minutes later, Ellen opened the door. "You can come back." Was I dismissed? You dismissed yourself so loudly we could hear it through the wall. Vanessa sat at the table with a legal pad in front of her. Her list had categories: food, seating, ice, bathroom, yard. Ryan's name appeared beside grill. Vanessa's name appeared beside everything else. I tried not to look too long. She asked, Ellen said. I didn't say anything. "Your forehead did." Vanessa turned the pad around. "This is what we have so far." "Looks organized," I said. "It looks like a confession." Ellen sat across from her. "Where's Ryan?" "Looking for more tables. Does he know you're here?" "Yes." "I told him I wanted to ask how much coffee your family goes through." "How much did he say?" "He said 1 big can." Ellen laughed. "Your husband thinks coffee grows in the pot." Vanessa drew a line through something. "I don't want you to take over," she told Ellen. "I won't. I mean, even if I ask a stupid question, I'll answer questions. That's what I'm afraid of. You answer 1 question, then notice 6 things I haven't thought about." 7, Ellen said. Vanessa stared at her. "The downstairs bathroom sticks if you lock it. The outlet on the patio trips if you plug in 2 warmers. Joanne says she drinks decaf, but she doesn't. Walt will bring extra chairs and forget to take them home. Ryan will buy ice too early, put it in a cooler with no drain plug, and flood your garage, Vanessa wrote rapidly. Ellen reached across and put her hand over the pen. This is me taking over. Vanessa looked down at their hands. Yes, she said. They both sat back. You don't have to do it like I did, Ellen told her. I know. You say that the way I used to. Vanessa folded the legal pad closed. Ryan thinks if he handles the grill, he's handling the gathering. He learned that somewhere, Ellen said. From the garage doorway, I felt the sentence touch me and move on. I did handle the grill, I said. Ellen turned. The grill was 4 feet from the cooler and 15 feet from the bathroom. I also repaired things, after people broke them. Vanessa smiled. This is more helpful than the list. It shouldn't be, I said. She left without asking for recipes. Ellen watched her car disappear, then looked at the containers on the counter. She's going to do too much, she said. So did you. That doesn't mean I want it for her. No, you could tell Ryan. No. Ellen looked surprised. Ryan has a wife, I said. She can tell him. Or not. I'm trying not to distribute assignments. That was almost smug. Change is uneven, Claire called that evening. Ellen took the call in the living room. I stayed in the kitchen until she called my name, then joined her on the couch. Claire was on speaker. So, Ellen said, twisting a loose thread on the cushion, are you coming to Ryan's? No. The answer was immediate. All right, is it? Ellen looked at me, then away. I wish you wanted to. That isn't the same as wishing I would. No. Claire went quiet. Ellen continued. I'm trying not to make you responsible for how I feel about it. How do you feel? Sad. I watched my wife's fingers worry the thread. Claire said, I'm sorry you're sad. Thank you. But I'm still not coming. I heard you. There was no argument, no list of relatives who might not be around next year, no reminder of how much family mattered. The space where those things usually went felt enormous. Claire broke it first. I might come see you in October. Ellen's hand stopped. We'd like that, she said. Just you and Dad. We'd like that too. After the call, Ellen went upstairs. I found her sitting on the edge of the bed, crying soundlessly. I sat beside her. She leaned into me, and I put my arm around her because she had moved first. I did it right, she said. Yes, it still hurts. Yes. That seems unfair. Most useful things are badly advertised. She laughed into my shirt. By the following Wednesday, Ryan had stopped asking for our tables. He borrowed 2 from Vanessa's office and arranged for Walt to bring the rest. The family messages shifted toward weather forecasts and food. Every offer ended with a question for Ellen, even when nobody meant it that way. Will this be enough? Does this sound right? What time do we usually eat? She answered only the ones addressed to everyone. Friday afternoon, Ryan sent us the plan. People arrive at noon, food at 3, come whenever. You don't need to bring anything. Beneath it, he added, Mom, if you change your mind about the corn casserole, no pressure. Ellen stared at the message. Then she opened the pantry, took out a blue box of corn muffin mix, and set it on the counter. My chest sank. She turned the box over, photographed the recipe, and sent the picture to Ryan. No secret. Add half a stick less butter than it says. Ryan reacted with a heart. Ellen put the box back. That felt dangerous, she said. You gave him a recipe, not your labor. Look at you, what? Certifying again. I nodded. Sorry, we decided to go, not for the whole day, not at noon. We would arrive at 2 and leave after dessert. We would drive our own car, bring no chairs, carry no serving dishes, and clean no kitchen. Saturday morning, I found Ellen standing in front of the oven. She had opened the door and was looking inside. What are you doing? I asked. I don't know. The oven was cold. For 30 years, the morning before Labor Day had begun, with it already hot. I closed the door gently. At the grocery store, we chose a pie from the bakery case. Apple, because it looked the least ambitious. A woman from Ellen's book club saw us near the checkout. Store-bought? She asked, smiling. You must be busy. Ellen looked down at the clear plastic dome in our cart. No, she said. I'm free. The woman nodded as if free were a diagnosis and pushed her cart toward produce. Ellen watched her go. That sounded more dramatic than I intended. It was good. It sounded like I escaped a cult. Some families have matching shirts. We're not far off. She put a can of whipped cream in the cart, studied it, then returned it to the shelf. We don't need whipped cream, she said. We didn't need a pie. We need the pie. It's our witness. At home, the pie sat untouched on the kitchen table while we occupied ourselves with tasks that did not need doing. I checked the air in the car tires. Ellen watered a plant that was still damp. I changed my shirt twice because the first one looked like I planned to work, and the second looked like I planned to make a point about not working. The third was blue. Ellen came downstairs wearing white pants. You're brave, I said. They're pants. At a potluck. I'm not handling food. Then you're reckless in a completely different way. She took the pie. I opened the door for her, but did not offer to carry it. She got halfway to the car and held it out behind her without turning around. Now you may help. I took it. Ryan and Vanessa lived 20 minutes away in a neighborhood where every front yard had the same young maple tree, and no one knew what the trees would look like when they grew up. Cars lined both sides of the street. Walt's truck sat crooked across the end of the driveway, one tire pressed into the grass. It was 2:11. We said 2, Ellen murmured. We're within the social margin. What if they ate? Then we accomplished something remarkable. We could hear people before we reached the side gate. Laughter, the scrape of metal chairs, somebody calling for a bottle opener. Smoke drifted over the fence in pale gray sheets. I smelled lighter fluid. Then I smelled it again. That's too much, I said. Ellen touched my arm. You're not the fire marshal. I'm not anything involving a marshal. Good. The gate stuck halfway. I lifted it slightly, opened it, then caught her watching me. The gate required assistance, I said. The gate didn't say no. Ryan saw us from the patio. You came. He was wearing an apron that said, King of the Grill. I had given it to him 7 Christmases earlier as a joke. Apparently the joke had matured into office. He hugged Ellen first, carefully, as though recent events had made her physically delicate. Then he shook my hand. You found tables, I said. People helped, I can see that. 2 long folding tables ran across the lawn under a rented canopy. The legs of one had sunk into soft ground, making all the covered dishes lean toward Diane's salad. Somebody had solved the problem by placing a folded paper plate beneath one foot. Ryan noticed me looking. It's holding. I didn't say anything. You had the face. I have only one. That's the problem. Vanessa came through the back door carrying a trash bag in one hand and a roll of paper towels in the other. Her hair was pinned up with a clip, but half of it had escaped. You made it, she said. That's what he said, Ellen replied. Vanessa hugged her. It lasted a second longer than usual. Then she noticed the clear plastic dome in my hands. You brought pie. Store-bought, Ellen said. Perfect. Ryan glanced at the pie and recovered almost quickly enough. You didn't have to bring anything. We know, I said. Vanessa took it from me. I'll put it with the desserts. Do you have a pie server? Ryan asked. Vanessa stopped. He lifted both hands. I'm asking generally. We'll use a knife, she said. Ryan turned back to the grill. People began greeting Ellen from different directions. Joanne hugged her and said, Look at you, just showing up like royalty. Diane called, Doesn't it feel wonderful not to be responsible? Walt lifted his beer. Guest of honor. Ellen smiled through all of it. I stood beside her until she whispered, If one more person congratulates me for attending a barbecue, I'm going home. I can create a distraction. No. I could fall. You'd make me responsible for an ambulance. Good point. We carried 2 lawn chairs to the edge of the patio. They were already there, but Walt had put a cooler in front of one and a bag of charcoal in front of the other. I moved both obstacles. That counted as work, Ellen said. I'm adjusting my environment. You put the charcoal beside the grill. It seemed more natural than beside your foot. Diane arrived with a plate of deviled eggs. Ellen, taste one and tell me what's missing? No. Diane blinked. Ellen smiled. I mean, I'll taste one because I want one. But I'm not telling you what's missing. Oh. Diane thought about it. All right, Ellen ate an egg. Well, it tastes like a deviled egg. Diane waited. Ellen ate the other half. Diane finally laughed. This is going to take some getting used to. For me, too. The laughter helped. It made the boundary something ordinary people could bump into and survive. Joanne pulled a chair beside Ellen and began talking about South Carolina. She wasn't just thinking of moving south, as the family messages suggested. She had already toured 2 condominiums near Charleston and put her name on a waiting list for one. "Why didn't you tell anybody?" Ellen asked. "I'm telling you. You told Ryan you were thinking about it. Ryan hears plans better if they sound undecided. Otherwise, he starts solving them." Ellen looked at me. "I'm not in this conversation," I said. Joanne leaned closer. "He sent me 3 articles about flood insurance." "That does sound like him," Ellen said. "He means well." "That also sounds like him." While they talked, I watched the gathering arrange itself badly and continue anyway. Nobody had brought enough ice, but Walt drove to a gas station without asking Ellen where to go. Diane's salad began sliding toward one side of the table, so Lisa moved it and found a flat rock for the sinking leg. A cousin whose name I had forgotten remembered mine and asked about my shoulder. 2 people put hamburger buns in different places and spent 5 minutes accusing each other of losing them. The world did not end. Vanessa moved constantly. She replaced empty napkin baskets, pointed people toward the bathroom, wiped a spill from the kitchen floor, and answered the same question about trash 4 times. Ryan stayed at the grill, turning meat and talking to anyone who stood nearby. He was working. I made myself acknowledge that. The smoke made his eyes water, and sweat darkened the back of his shirt. He had bought the food, cleaned the yard, borrowed the tables, and spent the morning trying to make his decision look effortless. He was also holding an empty pair of tongs. "Vanessa," he called. "Where are the other tongs?" She appeared in the doorway with a serving bowl. "I gave you 2. This one's for chicken." "You haven't cooked chicken." "I'm about to." "Then use those." "I need a clean pair for the burgers. Wash them." "With what?" Vanessa stared at him. "Water, Ryan." Several people laughed. Ryan made a face, enjoying the joke against himself because everyone was watching. "I'm running a high-pressure operation here." "You're standing beside fire," she said. "Human beings have managed that for a while." She carried the bowl to the table. Ryan looked at me. "You know what I mean. I have washed tongs." He waited. I sipped my lemonade. He went inside and washed them. Ellen noticed. "That hurt you." "I'm fine." "You wanted to tell him to use the metal ones for raw meat and the black-handled pair for cooked. The black coating is cracked." "Frank." I remained seated. At the dessert table, someone had placed our grocery store pie between a homemade peach cobbler and a chocolate cake with curls of shaved chocolate on top. It looked like a plastic hubcap at an auto show. Ellen saw me looking. "It has character. It has a barcode. Very modern." Ryan came over carrying a foil pan with oven mitts. "Mom." Ellen turned. He set the pan on the table and peeled back one corner of the foil. Corn casserole, browned around the edges and still bubbling in the middle. "I made it," he said. Something in his voice stripped 10 years from him. Ellen looked into the pan. "You used the recipe?" "Mostly." "What does mostly mean?" "I didn't reduce the butter. Then you used the recipe." "I added cheddar." She frowned. "Vanessa likes cheddar," he said. Vanessa, passing behind him with a stack of cups, said, "Don't put me in this?" Ryan smiled. "Will you taste it?" "Later. It's too hot." His disappointment flashed. Ellen added, "It looks good." He brightened so quickly I felt embarrassed for all of us. "Thanks," he said. "See, I can handle one dish. I never said you couldn't." The sentence changed his expression again, but someone called him back to the grill before he answered. At 3 o'clock, the food was not ready. Nobody cared except Ryan. The burgers were cooked, but the chicken had only just gone on. The borrowed grill was smaller than ours, and every time Ryan opened the lid, the temperature dropped. He turned the control knobs higher. The flames did not change. I knew what was wrong from 15 feet away. The regulator had gone into bypass. Ryan had probably opened the tank valve too quickly. The grill was receiving enough gas to stay lit, but not enough to cook the amount of food he had piled over it. He crouched beside the tank. I gripped the arms of my chair. Ellen continued listening to Joanne, but one corner of her eye was on me. Ryan stood and opened the lid again. Gray pieces of chicken sat above weak blue flames. "Dad?" I pretended I hadn't heard. "Dad." Conversations around us softened. I looked over. "What?" "This grill isn't heating. I can see that." "What do you think?" "I think it isn't heating." Walt laughed. Ryan didn't. "Can you come look at it?" Before I could answer, Diane appeared beside Ellen with panic in her face. "The coffee maker keeps shutting off." "Unplug one of the warmers," Ellen said automatically. Diane looked toward the buffet. "Which one?" Ellen glanced at the table. The macaroni and cheese was cooling. The beans were still steaming. She started to rise. At the same moment, Joanne and Lisa began arguing near the canopy. Lisa wanted to move a chair blocking the narrow path. Joanne insisted the chair marked a place for her purse. Neither problem mattered. Both voices rose as if they did. Ryan lifted the grill lid again. "Dad, please." My body had already assembled the sequence. Close the tank, turn off the burners, disconnect the hose, wait, reconnect. Open the tank slowly, relight, then level the table, then move the chair, then unplug the beans. I leaned forward. Ellen's hand closed around my wrist. She wasn't gripping hard. With her hand, she couldn't. "Do you want to rescue Ryan?" she asked quietly. "Or do you want to sit here with me?" Everyone else kept moving. Smoke drifted over the yard. Diane hovered. Ryan waited beside the grill, irritated and hopeful. I could almost feel the wrench that wasn't in my hand. I settled back into the chair. "With you," I said. Ellen sat down too. For once, the unfinished work stayed where it belonged. Ryan stared at me for another second. Then he shut the grill lid. Never mind. He said it loudly enough to make sure everyone understood that help had been refused, not merely unavailable. Walt wandered over with a beer and bent toward the propane tank. "You out of gas?" "The tank's full." "Maybe it's bad gas." "It isn't a lawnmower," I said. Ellen squeezed my wrist. I remained seated, I told her. Walt turned the tank valve the wrong direction, then the right direction. The flames weakened further. "You made it worse," Ryan said. "I'm helping." "Then stop." Walt raised his beer toward me. "Now I understand your strategy." Vanessa came out carrying an empty platter. She looked into the grill, looked at Ryan, then looked at the clock through the kitchen window. "Put the chicken in the oven. It'll dry out. It isn't cooking here. It'll cook." "When?" Ryan gestured toward the grill. "I'm figuring it out." "No." You're standing beside it, looking offended. Several nearby conversations became suddenly interested in other subjects. Vanessa set the platter down. "Lisa, can you help me carry these inside?" Lisa left Joanne's disputed chair where it was and came over. Together they transferred the chicken to 2 baking sheets. Ryan held the grill lid open for them, which was technically useful and emotionally insufficient. "I could have fixed it," he said. Vanessa didn't answer. They took the food inside. Diane remained beside us with her coffee problem. "Which warmer?" she asked again. Ellen looked at the buffet. Her fingers flexed against the arm of her chair. "The beans," I said. "They're hot enough?" "That was dangerously close to assistance," Ellen murmured. "I made a judgment as a guest who wants coffee." Diane unplugged the beans. The coffee maker started at once. "Oh," she said. The crisis left her face so quickly it was almost disappointing. Joanne moved her purse to her lap. Lisa shifted the chair. People could pass again. Walt found a bag of pretzels and opened it while everyone waited for the chicken. The gathering kept going. That was the part I had never trusted. I had spent years believing if Ellen and I stopped catching things, everything would fall. Yet here were 26 adults standing in a yard, with no coffee for 3 minutes and no meat at the appointed hour, and not one had perished. They complained, of course. "When are we eating? Is the chicken done? Who brought the coleslaw? Do we have more forks?" Every question traveled toward Ellen as though pulled by gravity. She answered the first few with, "Ask Vanessa." Then she shortened it to, "I don't know." The first time she said it, Joanne laughed. The 4th time, nobody did. "I don't know where the extra forks are," Ellen told Diane. "This isn't my house." Diane stood in front of her holding an empty napkin basket. "Right, of course." She went inside and found them. Ryan moved between the kitchen and the grill, wiping his hands on the king of the grill apron. He tried relighting the burners twice. The second attempt produced a yellow burst that made 3 people step backward. I knew the tank was still open too far. I also knew the owner's manual would tell him exactly what to do. He took out his phone, searched, read something, and shut every control. A minute later, he disconnected the hose. Ellen glanced at me. "Don't," she whispered. "I'm not doing anything. You're smiling. I'm proud of literacy." Ryan waited, reconnected the hose, and opened the tank slowly. The grill lit. The blue flames rose evenly. He looked toward me. I lifted my cup. He turned away. Food reached the tables at 3:47. Nobody had starved, though Walt ate enough pretzels to claim otherwise. The chicken was a little dry. The burgers had cooled. Diane's 7-layer salad had become 6 visible layers and 1 pink mystery at the bottom. The corn casserole was excellent. Ryan watched Ellen take her first bite. "Well?" he asked. She chewed. "I like the cheddar. I knew you would. I didn't." His smile faltered. "That's a compliment," she said. "You changed it, and it worked." He looked down at his plate. "It's still your recipe. It was never mine. It came from a box. You always made it, and now you did." He nodded once. For a moment, the fight became small enough to step around. Then Diane asked Ellen if she thought the chicken was underdone near the bone, and Ryan heard criticism where none had been offered. "It hit 165, he said. "I was asking your mother. She didn't cook it." "I know. She knows food." Vanessa set down her fork. "The chicken is fine." Diane took another bite. "I think it's fine too." "Then why ask?" Ryan said. The words came out harder than the question deserved. Diane blinked. Walt touched her shoulder, but she shook him off. "I was making conversation. Make conversation about something besides what went wrong." Nobody spoke. Ryan looked around the table and realized he had become the thing everyone was avoiding. He smiled. "I'm kidding?" Diane smiled back, because that was what our family did when somebody gave us an exit. Conversation resumed in separate pockets. Joanne described a condominium with a screened balcony. Walt claimed South Carolina had snakes that climbed stairs. Lisa told him all snakes could climb stairs if properly motivated. Beside me, Ellen ate slowly. "You all right?" I asked. "Ask me in a way that doesn't mean my hands." I thought about it. "Are you sorry we came?" "Not yet." That was an answer I could sit beside. It was a decent toast. Then he added, "Even if she scared us a little this year." A few people laughed uncertainly. Ellen didn't. Ryan saw her face. "I meant by canceling." "I didn't cancel." "Okay, we've covered that." "You just thanked everybody for understanding, then told them I frightened you." "I was making a joke." "About what?" He opened his mouth, found no harmless answer, and drank from his cup instead. Vanessa began gathering plates. Ryan took 3 from the end of the table and carried them inside. That gave everyone permission to pretend the moment had passed. Dessert came out. The homemade chocolate cake leaned to one side from the heat, and the peach cobbler had attracted a fly. Our grocery store pie looked sturdy and professional beneath its plastic dome. Joanne chose it. "So did Diane," Ellen whispered. "Modern women," I said. The pie was cut with a butter knife because nobody had found a server. The first piece collapsed. The second came out missing most of its crust. "It tastes the same," Ellen said. Heretic. At 5, guests began leaving. They hugged Ryan and told him he had done a wonderful job. They hugged Vanessa and told her they didn't know how she did it. They hugged Ellen and told her how nice it must have been to relax. Nobody hugged me until Walt realized he was standing beside me. "Good seeing you," he said, one arm around my shoulders. "You saw me Tuesday. Family occasions require fresh affection." He and Diane left carrying their empty dishes, the first miracle of the day. Joanne took her purse but forgot a sweater. Lisa found it and ran it to the driveway without asking anyone where Joanne was. The yard emptied in uneven waves. Cups remained in the grass. The trash bag beside the patio had split near the bottom. One of the borrowed tables had a red drink ring on it, large enough to qualify as a design. Vanessa stood at the kitchen sink with her back to us. The counters on either side were covered with dishes. Ellen went inside. I followed far enough to hear. "Do you want help?" she asked Vanessa. Vanessa looked over her shoulder. Her eyes were wet, though she might have blamed the onions if there had been onions. "No," she said. Ellen waited. Vanessa turned off the water. "Yes, I want help. I want a clean kitchen, and I want somebody else to take the trash, and I want to sit down for 10 minutes. All right, but if you start washing, he'll think the kitchen fixed itself." Ellen looked toward the patio. Ryan was folding one corner of the canopy while talking to Walt, who had come back for his phone. "Tell him what you need," Ellen said. "I did, twice." "What did he say?" "That he'd do it after everybody left." "Everybody has left, I know." Ellen touched her arm. "Then sit down before you ask a third time." Vanessa pulled out a kitchen chair and sat. Ellen sat beside her. Neither woman touched a dish. Ryan saw them through the window. He finished speaking to Walt and came inside. "What happened?" "Nothing," Vanessa said. He looked at the sink. I said I'd handle that. Good. I'm taking the canopy down first, then take it down. He looked at Ellen. Are you two proving something? Ellen stood. We're leaving. I didn't mean you. I know. She came outside, picked up her purse, and nodded toward the gate. I carried what remained of the pie. Less than half, still under the dome. Ryan followed me to the side yard. Dad. I kept walking. Dad, can I talk to you? Ellen stopped near the gate. I handed her the pie. Ryan waited until we were several steps away from her. You enjoyed that, he said. No. You sat there watching me drown. You hosted a potluck. You didn't drown. You knew what was wrong with the grill. Yes. And you let me look like an idiot. You looked up the answer and fixed it, after 45 minutes. 7. That isn't the point. What is? He glanced toward the kitchen window. Vanessa remained seated inside, one hand over her eyes. You're my father, he said. How can you watch your son struggle when you could help? The anger in his voice had cracked open. Underneath it was something younger and harder to dismiss, I answered carefully. I've helped you so often that you stopped experiencing it as help. That's convenient. It isn't. A lot of it is my fault. Don't do that. Do what? Say something insulting, then make it sound like an apology. I nodded. Fair. He looked surprised. I wanted to fix the grill, I said. I wanted to level the table, move the chair, unplug the warmer, and get everybody fed on time. Part of me wanted to show you I could do it better. I know. And part of me wanted you to fail because I was angry. His face tightened. That's mine to answer for, I said. But I still wasn't obligated to rescue you. You keep using that word. What word? Rescue. Like I'm some spoiled little boy. I didn't say spoiled. You didn't have to. I looked through the kitchen window too. Vanessa had risen and was tying the split trash bag shut herself. You volunteered your mother's work, I said. Then you volunteered mine. Then Vanessa's. Every time one of us said no, you called it betrayal. I never said betrayal. You said your mother won. Ryan looked toward Ellen. She stood by the gate holding a grocery store pie under one arm, watching us. You called me old-fashioned for protecting her, I said. Maybe I am old-fashioned in ways I need to fix, but protecting Ellen doesn't mean deciding she's fragile. It means taking her limits seriously when doing that costs me something. It didn't cost you anything today. It cost me the pleasure of being right in front of my brother. Despite himself, Ryan almost smiled. Then I said, and it cost me being the father you wanted. The smile disappeared. You think this makes you a better husband? No. I think I'm late. Ellen came toward us. Ryan shook his head. You would have helped if he hadn't made this into some grand lesson. No, she said. You don't know that. I do. Because he convinced you? Because I'm the one who asked him to sit down. Ryan looked from her to me. Ellen's voice stayed gentle. I love you, she said. But I don't like the man you become when love isn't expressed as obedience. He went pale. That's a terrible thing to say to your son. It was terrible to have to say. No. You wanted to say it. Both of you have been waiting to punish me. I wanted you to hear me. You made sure everybody did. I spoke to you privately until you spoke for me publicly. Ryan stepped backward. Vanessa opened the kitchen door. Are you coming inside? He didn't answer her. She looked at the dishes, then at him. Ryan, I'm talking to my parents. They're leaving. The words were not a request. Ryan stared at me as though I had arranged every piece of the afternoon. Then he turned and went inside. Ellen handed me the pie so she could open the gate. We walked to the car without looking back. Once we were inside, she placed both hands in her lap. They smelled faintly of apples and plastic, not soap. I thought I'd feel stronger, she said. I started the engine. After a moment, she held out her right hand. I took it because she had asked. Ellen let go of my hand at the second traffic light. Was that cruel? She asked. I knew which sentence she meant. It was true. That isn't what I asked. No. She watched the light turn green. I drove. A block later, I said, it was hard. For him or for me? Both. That still isn't an answer. I don't know, Ellen. She turned toward me. I think it was something he needed to hear, I said. I also think needing to hear something doesn't make it painless. Beyond that, I don't know. She looked back through the windshield. You're getting better. At what? Not certifying. We carried the remaining pie into a kitchen that smelled like nothing. No onions, no coffee, no 3 slow cookers fogging the windows. The bare rectangle above the mudroom door looked brighter in the evening light. Ellen put the pie on the counter beside the wooden sign. "I'm not hungry," she said. "Neither am I." We ate 2 pieces standing up. Ryan did not call. Vanessa sent Ellen a message at 8:14. "Thank you for sitting with me. I'm sorry the day ended that way." Ellen showed it to me, then wrote back, "You have nothing to apologize for. Get some rest." She deleted the last sentence. "What was wrong with it?" I asked. "It sounds like an order. It sounds like you. That's what I'm worried about." She sent only the first sentence. The family group filled with photographs. Walt had taken one during Ryan's toast. In it, Ryan stood smiling with his plastic cup raised. Vanessa was behind him, carrying a stack of plates. Ellen and I sat side by side at the end of the table. Everyone looked cheerful because photographs are very good at family. Diane wrote, "Beautiful day. Thank you, Ryan and Vanessa." Joanne added, "The beginning of a new tradition." Ryan reacted to both with hearts. He didn't post anything himself. I woke the next morning to a metal tapping sound. Ellen stood at the kitchen counter, striking the lid of a jam jar with the back of a spoon. "Is that working?" I asked. "It has before." "Do you want help?" "No." She hit it again. The spoon slipped and landed in the sink. "Yes." I opened the jar and handed it back. "Thank you," she said. "You're welcome." Neither of us turned it into a lesson. That might have been the finest moment of our marriage. For 3 days, Ryan stayed silent. On the 4th, he removed himself from the family conversation. Diane added him back within 6 minutes. He removed himself again. Walt called to ask if I thought he should check on him. "What would you say?" "I don't know. That's why I'm checking with you. If you're calling as his uncle, call him. If you're calling as my representative, the office is closed. You're having too much fun with this boundary stuff. According to Ellen, that's one of my blind spots." He called Ryan anyway. Ryan did not answer. Vanessa went to work, came home, and lived beside my son in a silence we learned about only because Ryan eventually broke it. He called me on a Thursday evening while I was replacing the rubber seal around the garage window. "You happy?" he asked. I set down the putty knife. "No. You don't even know what I'm talking about. When you start with that question, the answer is usually no." Vanessa left. The garage seemed to lose air. Where did she go? Renee's. Her older sister lived about 40 minutes away. "Is she all right?" "She's fine." She packed a suitcase and walked out like I'm dangerous. "Are you? Are you serious?" I'm asking whether the argument got frightening. No, I didn't touch her. I didn't threaten her. I raised my voice, she raised hers, and suddenly she needs space. "What were you arguing about? What do you think?" I'm trying not to. He breathed hard into the phone. "She says I embarrassed her in front of my whole family." "At the gathering?" "She says I thanked her for stepping up when she had specifically told me she wasn't stepping up." "She did tell you. That isn't the point. It seems related. The point is, she took Mom's side before we even discussed it. There shouldn't be sides. Mom said she didn't like me. She said she didn't like the man you become when I was there, Dad." I leaned against my workbench. The 6 folding chairs were still stacked nearby, exactly where I had left them. "I spent the entire day working," Ryan said. "I bought everything. I cooked. I cleaned until midnight. I believe you. And everybody acts like I sat down while the women served me grapes. I don't think anybody said grapes. Can you take this seriously?" "I am." "No, you're waiting for me to admit you were right. That was uncomfortably close." "What do you want from me?" I asked. "I want you to tell Mom she went too far." "No. Of course, I'm not carrying messages between you and your mother, because you agree with her, because you can talk to her. She won't talk to me. Have you called?" "I'm not calling, so she can explain me to myself. Then she isn't refusing to talk." "You're refusing to call." He went quiet. "Did Vanessa ask for space?" I asked. "She said not to contact her for a few days." "Then give her a few days, so she can sit at Renee's and tell everybody I'm a monster." "Is Renee everybody?" "You know what I mean. I know you're more worried about the story than the person telling it." He made a sound like he had been struck. "You really have changed," he said. "I'm trying." "It isn't an improvement." He hung up. I stood in the garage with the rubber seal hanging loose from the window frame. My first instinct was to call Renee. I had her number somewhere. I could make sure Vanessa was safe, ask what happened, offer neutral ground. My second instinct was to find Ellen and report every word Ryan had said. I did neither. I finished the window badly. When I went inside, Ellen was reading at the kitchen table. The wooden sign had moved to a chair because she needed the counter. It was still face down. "Ryan called," I said. She marked her page with one finger. "Is he okay?" "Vanessa is staying with Renee." Ellen closed the book. "What happened?" "He says they argued about Labor Day." She asked him not to contact her for a few days. Ellen reached for her phone, then stopped. "Did she call you?" she asked. "No." "Did she ask us to get involved?" "No." "Did Ryan?" "He asked me to tell you that you went too far." Her hand dropped from the phone. "What did you say?" "That I wasn't carrying messages, while carrying the message." I noticed that halfway through. She stood and walked to the sink, then back to the table. "I should call Vanessa." "You could." "Do you think I should?" I almost said no. Instead, I said, "Do you want to?" "I want to know she's all right. Then send that. Don't ask about Ryan." Ellen stared at me. "That was coaching," I said. It was also sensible. "Uneven change." She wrote to Vanessa. "I heard you're staying with Renee." "You don't owe me details. I just want to know you're safe," Vanessa replied 15 minutes later. "I'm safe. I love him. I'm too angry to be kind right now, and he thinks anything less than kindness is betrayal. Please don't fix this for us." Ellen read the message until the screen dimmed. "She thinks I would fix it. You would. So would you." I considered calling Renee. "Why didn't you?" "I was repairing a window." She looked at me. "Fine. I remembered what you said." She reached across the table and squeezed my hand. That evening, she moved the sign to the laundry room floor. She leaned it against the wall beneath the shelf where we kept detergent and spare light bulbs. "Is that where it lives?" I asked. "It's where I'm not tripping over it." I accepted the distinction. The flyer for the community garden appeared on our refrigerator the following week. I found it beneath a magnet shaped like a strawberry. Volunteers needed Tuesdays and Thursdays to weed shared beds, sort donated produce, and prepare plots for fall planting. "Where did this come from?" I asked. "The library." "You're thinking of volunteering?" "I put it on the refrigerator, Frank. That could mean several things. We once had a chimney sweep coupon there for 8 years. I'm going Thursday. Do you want company?" "No. Do you have gloves?" "Yes." "Good." She waited. I waited. "You have an opinion about my gloves," she said. "I have no opinion. You bought them for pruning roses. They're too stiff." I wasn't going to say that. "What were you going to say?" "That they're too stiff," she laughed. On Thursday morning, she drove away wearing old jeans and carrying the stiff gloves. I went into the garage and spent 40 minutes not following her. She came home after noon with dirt on both knees and a paper bag full of tomatoes that looked worse than ours. "How was it?" I asked. "Hot. Did your hands hurt?" She set the bag on the counter. I corrected myself. "Did you like it?" "I sorted tomatoes with a retired accountant named Lorna, who hates tomatoes." "That sounds promising. She says vegetables are easier to organize if you don't care about them." "Did you tell her we have collapsed plants she can practice on?" "No, I'm keeping my family out of it." She washed her hands, inspecting the dirt beneath her nails. "I like that nobody needed me to know anything," she said. "They showed me where the tools were, then they left me alone." I nodded. "Don't look proud. I'm looking normal. Your forehead is celebrating." She went back the next Tuesday, then Thursday. Ryan remained silent. Vanessa stayed with Renee. Ellen and I learned about both only through what they chose to tell us, which was almost nothing. At the end of the month, Claire confirmed she was coming in October. She planned to stay at a hotel. Ellen read that part aloud twice. "We have a guest room," she said. "She knows." "Should I ask once?" "You can." "What if she says no?" "Then we know where she's sleeping." Ellen sent the invitation without adding a reason Claire should accept. The answer came the next morning. "Maybe one night with you, hotel the other two." Ellen smiled at the phone. "Progress?" I asked. "Don't certify." "Yes, ma'am." She looked toward the laundry room. The sign was still leaning on the floor, collecting a thin line of dust along its top edge. "Bring me the level," she said. I opened the drawer beside the refrigerator. "What are we hanging?" "I don't know yet." This time, I handed her the tool without needing the answer. Ellen carried the level into the laundry room and held it against the wall above the washer. "The sign?" I asked. "Maybe." That was my suggestion. "You made it as a joke. Most of my useful ideas begin that way." She lifted the wooden sign with both hands. The painted words looked different between detergent bottles and a drying rack. less like a declaration, more like evidence. Higher, I said. She lowered it. I'm not coaching, I'm observing. You're observing loudly. She adjusted the sign, then winced when her right thumb slipped along the edge. Do you want me to hold it? I asked. Yes. I held it where she placed it. She used the little level, marked the wall, and handed me the drill. Do you want me to? Drill the hole, Frank. I'm confirming the scope. You're enjoying the paperwork. I drilled. She installed the hook herself. Then we stepped back. The sign hung above the washer. Family gathers here. It's crooked, I said. She checked the level. No, the wall is. That's going to bother me. I know. Claire arrived on a Friday afternoon carrying one suitcase and a brown paper bag. No flowers, Ellen said when she opened the door. They require arranging. You remembered. Claire held up the bag. I brought bread. Does it require slicing? I can take it back. Ellen hugged her. Claire's arm stayed stiff for the first second, then tightened around her mother. They separated too quickly and both began talking about traffic. I took the suitcase. Claire looked at me. May I? I asked. You already have it. I can put it down. She smiled a little. You may. I carried it to the guest room, though she wasn't staying with us until Sunday night. She had insisted on keeping the hotel reservation for the first 2 nights. Ellen had insisted the guest room should still be ready. They had reached a compromise in which the room was prepared for someone who would not sleep in it. I had changed the sheets. Ellen had placed one clean towel on the bed and then removed the basket of toiletries she used to leave for guests. She knows where the bathroom is, she said. Claire walked into the room and touched the towel. This is new. What? There's only one. You're only one person. Claire looked at her mother. I know. The conversation underneath that conversation was already crowded. We ordered dinner from an Italian place because Ellen refused to turn the visit into proof that she could host differently. The food arrived in foil trays with too much sauce. We ate at the kitchen table. Claire used the plastic serving spoon that came with the order, though our silver ones were 6 feet away. Nobody asked for salad. For 20 minutes, we talked about safe things. Claire's work, the garden, Joanne's possible move. The weather between here and the city where Claire lived, as if weather occupied the full 800 miles. Then Claire noticed the clean rectangle above the mudroom door. Where's the sign? Laundry room, Ellen said. Claire got up and went to look. We heard her laugh. Okay, she called. That's funny. It's also accurate, I said. She returned to the table and sat down. I almost didn't come. Ellen folded her napkin once, then again. What changed your mind? You stopped asking. The answer hurt Ellen. She didn't hide it, but she didn't make Claire take it back. I thought if I gave you space, you'd forget me, she said. I thought if I stayed away long enough, you'd come after me. I looked at Claire. She shrugged one shoulder. I'm not pretending I handled this perfectly. You didn't owe us a perfect exit, Ellen said. No, but I wanted to punish you. I told myself I was protecting my peace because that sounds healthier. Sometimes I was. Sometimes I wanted Labor Day to be miserable without me. It wasn't, Ellen said. Claire laughed once. Thank you, Mom. I mean, we missed you, but the work got absorbed. That's part of what I didn't understand. You left, and instead of asking why, I just did more. And blame me. Yes. Claire looked at me. And Dad blamed you more efficiently. I put down my fork. Fair, I said. She studied my face, perhaps waiting for the defense that didn't come. I need to tell you what happened in the garage, I said. I know what happened. You know your part. I was there for yours too. Not all of it. Ellen started gathering containers. Claire reached out and stopped her. Leave them. They're in the way. Of what? Ellen looked at the empty space where a centerpiece would once have been. She sat again. I told them the whole conversation from 3 years earlier, not just the line Claire remembered. I told Ellen that Claire had said she looked exhausted, that Claire believed Ryan was using the reunion to control everybody's attention, that she had asked me if I agreed. You did agree, Claire said. Yes. But you told me agreement wasn't the point. Yes. Why didn't you tell Mom? Because if Ellen knew you were leaving partly because of Ryan, she would have felt forced to confront him. So, you protected her, Claire said. I protected the weekend. Ellen flinched. I continued. I told myself they were the same thing. Claire leaned back. Do you know what happened before you came into the garage? Ryan volunteered you for errands. He also told me Vanessa wanted to leave early and couldn't because Mom would take it personally. Ellen looked up. Vanessa never said that. I know, I asked her later. She was tired, but she hadn't asked to leave. Why didn't you tell me? Because you were carrying a tray and asking if everybody had enough. Ellen pressed both hands flat against the table. Claire's voice softened. There was never a good time to tell you anything. You were always in motion. I could have stopped. You didn't. No. The foil containers cooled between us. I said, I'm sorry I made your strength useful to me. Claire's eyes moved to mine. I hadn't planned the sentence. It arrived because she had said it on the phone, and I had been hearing it ever since. You didn't think Ryan could handle being corrected, I continued. You did think I could handle being hurt. Yes, I can handle it. That doesn't mean I had the right to give it to you. She looked down. I'm not ready to act like everything's fixed, I know. Mom keeps using the word progress. I've been instructed not to certify. That got a small smile. We left the foil trays on the table until the sauce hardened around the edges. The next day, Claire and Ellen went to the community garden. I was not invited. I spent the morning in the garage pretending I had urgent work. At noon, they returned with a bag of peppers and dirt on their shoes. Claire had met Lorna, the tomato-hating accountant, and apparently liked her immediately. She asks direct questions, Claire said. She asked why I let my son organize my feelings, Ellen added. What did you say? That she was sorting onions. Claire laughed. Then Lorna said, onions don't avoid the question. I may need to meet this woman, I said. You absolutely do not, Ellen replied. Claire slept at the hotel again that night. She came Sunday morning for coffee and stayed through dinner. At 10, she carried her suitcase into the guest room. Ellen stood in the hallway trying not to look victorious. It's one night, Claire said. I know. You're doing the face. What face? The one Dad does with his forehead, but quieter. I went downstairs before either woman could include me. In the morning, I found Claire alone in the kitchen. She was drinking coffee beneath the bare rectangle, staring toward the laundry room. Mom's still asleep, she said. She was nervous about your visit. I know. I poured my own coffee. Have you talked to Ryan? She asked. Not since Vanessa left. He texted me. I waited. He asked if I was in town. What did you say? I said yes. Did he ask to see you? He said, I assume Mom doesn't want me there. That sounds like him. I told him not to make her responsible for a decision he hadn't asked me to make. I smiled into my cup. Forehead, she said. Sorry. He asked if I wanted to see him. And? I said, not this trip. Okay. Claire watched me carefully. That's it? That's your answer. She looked down at the coffee. I wanted him to argue. Why? So I could be angry instead of guilty. You can be both. She nodded. When she left, Ellen cried in the driveway, but she did not ask Claire when she was coming back. Claire hugged her, then me, and promised to call when she got home. She did. 2 days later, Ryan came through the mudroom door without knocking. He stopped when he saw the empty hook. Then he heard the washing machine and looked into the laundry room. You hung it in there? Your mother did. He stared at the sign above the washer. That's supposed to be funny? Yes, Ellen said from behind him. He turned. For the second time in 2 months, Ryan had walked into our kitchen and discovered his mother standing where he hadn't expected her. He looked thinner. His beard had grown unevenly along his jaw, and his shirt was wrinkled beneath a jacket too warm for the day. Claire came, he said. Yes. You didn't tell me. She asked us not to. She told me she was here. Then you knew. Ryan put his keys on the table. Vanessa is still at Renee's. Ellen nodded. I'm sorry. She says she'll meet me for dinner Friday. That's good. She says it isn't a date. Then don't treat it like one. He frowned. What does that mean? It means she's agreeing to talk, not agreeing to come home. Did she tell you that? No. He looked relieved, then ashamed of the relief. I don't know what to say to her. Ellen pulled out a chair. Sit down. Ryan sat. I remained by the counter. He rubbed both hands over his face. Every apology I think of sounds like I'm admitting to things I don't believe. Then don't say them, Ellen replied. He looked up. You think I shouldn't apologize? I think you should figure out what you're sorry for. I'm sorry the reunion got out of control. That's weather. I'm sorry Vanessa felt embarrassed. That's her feeling. His jaw tightened. This is why I didn't come. You came because you want me to give you the right words. I came because you're my mother. And what does that require me to do? He stared at her. The washing machine shifted into its spin cycle. The sign rattled softly against the wall. Ryan looked toward the sound. I don't know, he said. It was the first honest answer he had given us in a long time. Ellen sat across from him. Good, she said. Start there. Ryan sat with, I don't know, for a while. He picked up his keys, turned them over in his hand, and placed them back on the table. I'm sorry I volunteered, Vanessa, he said. Ellen waited. And you, she continued waiting. And Dad? I leaned against the counter. Don't add me because I'm in the room. I did volunteer your tables. You tried, Ryan rubbed his forehead. See? This is impossible. No, Ellen said. It's uncomfortable. What's the difference? Impossible gives you permission to stop. He looked at her, irritated. She didn't soften the sentence. I'm sorry I told people you would cook when you had already said you wouldn't, he said. I'm sorry I made it sound like Dad was controlling you. Why did you? Because I thought he was. Try again. He pushed his chair back an inch, then pulled it forward. Because if Dad made you say no, I didn't have to believe you wanted to. The washing machine slowed behind the wall. Ellen looked down at her hands. Ryan continued before she could answer. I know how that sounds. How does it sound? She asked. Bad. Specific, Ryan. It sounds like I cared more about getting what I wanted than whether you wanted it too. Ellen nodded once. He looked toward me. Are you going to stand there all afternoon? I can sit. That isn't what I meant. I know. I took the chair at the end of the table, not beside Ellen, not across from Ryan. There was probably a book about what that meant, but none of us had read it. Ryan asked, when did everybody decide I'm the one who does this? Does what? I said. Makes people responsible for how I feel. Ellen and I exchanged a glance. He saw it. Great. It didn't start with you, Ellen said. That isn't an answer. No, it's context. She touched the table where his coffee had sat the day the fight began. My mother could ruin Christmas with one sigh, she said. She never asked for anything directly. She looked tired near the potatoes, and everybody rearranged their day. I swore I wouldn't be like that. You aren't. I learned to smile near the potatoes. Ryan looked down. I made service the easiest way to keep me happy, she continued. Your father praised me for doing it. You praised me too. Claire got angry. Vanessa stepped in. We all kept moving. So, this is everybody's fault. No, this is everybody's pattern. Your choices inside it are still yours. He gave a tired laugh. You've been talking to Lorna. Lorna thinks tomatoes are emotionally manipulative. She sounds stable. She's growing on me. That almost made the room normal. Then Ryan said, Vanessa thinks I don't listen. Ellen's mouth tightened around the obvious reply. What did she tell you? She asked. That I turned the barbecue into a test she couldn't pass. If it went well, it was because I saved the family. If it went badly, it was because nobody supported me. What did you say? That wasn't fair, was it? He looked at the table. I don't know. Good, Ellen said. Can you stop saying good every time I feel terrible? No. He leaned back and looked toward the laundry room. The sign had stopped rattling. What am I supposed to say Friday? He asked. To Vanessa? Yes. I don't know. You know her. So do you. Not right now. That may be the first thing you understand. His eyes narrowed. Ellen leaned forward. You're asking me for a sentence that will bring your wife home. If I give you one and it works, you won't know what you learned. If it doesn't work, you'll blame the sentence. I wouldn't blame you. You blame me for canceling a gathering I didn't cancel. He had no answer. After a moment, I said, ask her what she needs you to understand. Ryan turned to me. Then listen until she's finished, I added. That's it? No, that's one conversation. You're looking for a lever. There isn't one. He picked up his keys again. I should go. Ellen stood too. Ryan hesitated. Can I have coffee first? What kind? She asked. He looked toward the coffee maker. The kind you drink, which is? That embarrassed him more than any accusation had. Black, he guessed. Usually. No cinnamon? Not for years. He nodded. Black then. He made the coffee himself. He put too many grounds in the filter and spilled some beside the machine. I watched him see the mess, reach for a towel, and wipe it up without being told. He poured 2 cups, one for Ellen, one for himself. He did not pour mine, which was fine. Friday evening passed without a call. Ellen checked her phone 4 times and denied it twice. I did not remind her that Vanessa had asked us not to fix things. Saturday afternoon, Ryan sent one message. Dinner was hard. She's still at Renee's. We're talking again Tuesday. Ellen wrote, I'm glad you listened. Ryan replied, I tried. That was all. He came by the following week carrying the glass food containers Vanessa had returned before Labor Day. We had sent leftovers home in them months earlier. Somehow they had migrated back to his house after the gathering. They're yours, he said. They're your mother's, I replied. Everything in this house belongs to Mom when you're making a point, not the drill press. Ellen came into the kitchen. Ryan handed her the containers. I washed them. She looked inside one. The lid too? He sighed. Yes. She smiled and put them in the cabinet. Vanessa did not come home after their second dinner. She agreed to meet him again. Then again. Ryan stopped reporting every conversation, which was how we knew something might actually be changing. When he did speak about her, he stopped saying she was taking our side. He said she was angry. He said she didn't trust promises yet. He said he had not realized how often he thanked her in front of people for things she had not agreed to do. At the beginning of November, Vanessa moved back into their house. She called Ellen before she did. This doesn't mean everything's fixed, she said. I know. I'm using the guest room for a while. You don't have to explain. I want you to know I'm not going back because I gave in. I know that too. Do you? Ellen was quiet. No, she said. I'm assuming. Thank you for correcting me. Vanessa laughed. This family is exhausting now. We were exhausting before. We just had better food. Ryan came to our house less often, but when he did, he knocked. Sometimes he stood in the mudroom waiting after the knock, though he still had a key. The first time, I left him there long enough that Ellen accused me of enjoying the boundary. A little, I admitted. At Thanksgiving, we ate at a restaurant. Diane complained that restaurants had no leftovers. Walt pointed out that she had ordered enough pasta to supply her own. Joanne announced she had accepted the condominium in South Carolina. Ryan began to say she should have talked to someone before deciding. He stopped himself. Congratulations, he said instead. Joanne stared at him. Are you ill? Apparently I'm improving. Claire did not come. She called Ellen in the morning and spoke to both of us for 40 minutes. She sent Ryan a separate message. He showed me later. I'm willing to talk if you're willing to hear things you won't like. Ryan had replied, I'm willing. Claire answered, that was too fast. Think about it. He waited 2 days. Then he wrote, I'm scared I'll defend myself. I'll try not to. They arranged a call for Sunday. Ryan told us about it only afterward. He came into the garage while I was cleaning a socket wrench that did not need cleaning. Claire says I made her feel like there was no room in the family unless she was useful or agreeable. I set the wrench down. What did you say? At first, that she wasn't agreeable even when she tried. I winced. She laughed, he said. That helped? No. Then she asked why I always made her anger proof that she didn't care. And I told her because she left. She left after the anger. I know that now. He sat on one of the folding chairs. She said I treated Mom like the center of the family, and then treated everybody else like they were responsible for keeping her there. She said if Mom was tired, I blamed people for not helping. If Mom said no, I blamed Dad. If Mom was hurt, I blamed Claire for leaving. The garage felt colder than it was. Did you stay on the call? I asked. 2 hours. That must have been hard. Don't congratulate me for listening to my sister. I wasn't. You had the face? Ellen says it's the forehead. It's both. He picked at a loose thread on the chair's fabric. Claire said she doesn't trust me yet. That seems fair. I know. He looked at the 6 stacked chairs beside my workbench. You really weren't going to lend me those, were you? No. You knew I'd find others. I hoped. He nodded. Vanessa says I should apologize to Mom. Do you think you should? Yes. Then why haven't you? He looked toward the house. Because she's the one I most want to forgive me. There it was. An answer without a strategy. I sat across from him. Your mother is going to forgive you, I said. Eventually, she loves you. That makes it easier. It shouldn't. He looked at me. If you apologize because you know love will soften the landing, you're still using her love to carry you. Ryan rubbed both palms over his jeans. When did you get so wise? I'm repeating something your mother said. Of course you are. She's annoyingly productive. He smiled. Then his expression sobered. Did you apologize to Claire? Yes. Did she forgive you? Not on command. How do you stand that? Poorly. The honest answer seemed to help. Winter passed in small repairs nobody could photograph. Ryan began asking before he offered Vanessa's time. Vanessa began answering without cushioning every no. They still argued. Sometimes she stayed at Renee's for a night because space worked better than shouting. Ryan stopped calling us when she did. Claire called more often, though not on a schedule. Once she spoke to Ellen for 11 minutes and ended the conversation because she was meeting a friend. Ellen did not interpret the short call as a warning. At the garden, Ellen took responsibility for the tool shed on Thursdays. Not because nobody else could do it, because she liked labeling hooks and disliked the way Lorna coiled hoses. Volunteering has corrupted you, I said. It has standards. Her hands still hurt. Some mornings she accepted help opening jars. Some mornings she told me to leave her alone. I was learning that both answers could belong to the same woman. Ryan waited until early spring to apologize. He came on a Tuesday carrying 2 coffees. He handed one to Ellen. Black, he said, no cinnamon. She checked the lid. You wrote my name on it. I wanted to be sure. Who has the other one? Me. What does yours say? He turned the cup. Ryan. I laughed. The universe remains skeptical, he said. We sat in the kitchen beneath the bare rectangle. From the laundry room, the family sign was visible above the washer. Ryan did not begin with if. He apologized for telling relatives his mother was overwhelmed when she had been clear. He apologized for treating Frank's involvement as proof that her decision wasn't real. He apologized for offering her labor to Vanessa and Vanessa's labor to everybody else. He apologized for calling cancellation her victory because he wanted her guilt to restore what her no had taken away. Ellen listened without interrupting. When he finished, she asked, What do you want me to say? Ryan held his coffee with both hands. Nothing yet, he said. She looked at him carefully. Then she nodded. For the first time, he let her silence mean only that she had not answered. The coffee cooled between them. Ryan glanced at me once, perhaps checking whether I would rescue him from the silence. I took a drink from my own cup and discovered I had forgotten to make one. He looked back at Ellen. I believe you're sorry, she said, his shoulders lowered. That doesn't mean we return everything to where it was. They rose again, though less sharply. I didn't ask for that. You haven't. But forgiveness is not the same as restoring the old arrangement. I'm not hosting because everybody misses my food. I'm not proving I love you by making things easier. And when I say no, I don't want to spend 3 days convincing you I'm still myself. Ryan traced the seam of the cardboard cup. All right. It won't feel all right every time. I know. I don't think you do. He almost argued. I saw the answer reach his mouth. Then he nodded. Probably not. Ellen leaned back. Ryan asked, Do you forgive me? Her eyes filled, but her voice remained steady. I'm beginning to. That was not the answer he wanted. It was better than the answer he once would have demanded. He finished his coffee and threw both cups away. At the mudroom, he stopped and looked into the laundry room. Are you leaving the sign there? Yes, it's a little hostile. It's a little funny. It can be both. Now you're learning, he smiled. Before opening the door, he turned to me. Can I call you this week? You just did a whole apology without asking me for tools. Don't ruin your streak. I need help with the grill. Ellen laughed. Ryan lifted one hand. Not today, not an emergency. I want Dad to show me how the regulator works so I don't spend the next gathering cooking chicken in my oven. I looked at him. Are you asking me to fix it? I'm asking you to teach me, then yes. He nodded and left. Ellen remained at the table. I sat across from her. Beginning to? I asked. That's where I am. He handled it. I know. You were proud of him. Frank. I'm observing quietly. You're glowing like a lighthouse. I held up my empty hand. I haven't even made coffee. She stood, took a mug from the cabinet, and set it in front of me. Make your own. The following Saturday, Ryan brought the grill over in the back of his SUV. He had cleaned it so thoroughly that the metal shone in places grills were not supposed to shine. We unloaded it together. I read the manual, he said. Was it painful? It says not to transport the tank connected. Did you? He looked at the tank still attached beneath the grill. I read the manual after I got here. We disconnected it. I showed him the safety valve inside the regulator and explained how opening the propane tank too quickly could trip it. He asked questions, interrupted twice, and then apologized for interrupting so many times that I asked him to stop apologizing and hand me a wrench. When we finished, the flames burned even in blue. Ryan stood beside me watching them. "I always thought you liked fixing things for me," he said. "I did." "Then why was everybody angry when I asked?" "Because liking something isn't a lifetime contract." He nodded slowly. "I liked when you fixed things," he said. "I know. It meant you weren't disappointed in me." I shut off the burners. "I can be disappointed in you and still love you. I'm starting to notice that. I'm sorry I made fixing things the easiest way to feel like your father." Ryan looked at me. "You're apologizing now? I've been instructed to change when nobody's watching." He glanced toward the open garage door. Ellen stood in the driveway holding a bag of garden tools. "She's watching. That woman destroys every opportunity." Ellen held out the bag. "My trowel is loose." I started forward, then stopped. "Do you want me to fix it?" "Yes, Frank. The blade is rotating." Ryan laughed. "You really have to ask every time?" "No. Sometimes I ask because your mother enjoys making me." "I heard that," Ellen called. I spoke clearly. By June, Vanessa no longer slept in the guest room, though neither she nor Ryan announced the change. We knew only because she referred to it one evening as the room where Ryan's exercise bike lives again. They came for dinner at our house and brought half the meal. Ryan arrived holding a bowl of salad. "I made the dressing," Vanessa said. "I chopped the vegetables," he added. Vanessa looked at him. "I was providing information. You were applying for credit. I'm withdrawing the application." They were not fixed. They were learning how not to make every correction a threat to the marriage. When Ryan offered to clear the table, he asked Vanessa whether she wanted to help. She said no. He carried all the dishes himself. Ellen watched him make 3 trips. Her hands rested in her lap. On the 4th trip, she started to rise. I touched her sleeve, then removed my hand. She looked at me. "Do you want to help?" I asked. "I want to stop him from putting that bowl on the bottom." From the kitchen came a crash, followed by Ryan saying, "It's fine." Ellen sat back. "That was the serving spoon," Vanessa said. "I remained seated," Ellen replied. "Claire visited in July. She stayed 2 nights with us and 1 at a hotel, reversing the order from October." Ellen did not call it progress aloud, though she put fresh flowers in the guest room and removed them before Claire arrived. "You left a water ring," I told her. "I'll explain if she asks." Claire did not ask. She met Ryan and Vanessa for lunch without us. Before leaving, she stood in our mudroom for 5 minutes, deciding whether to go. "You can cancel," Ellen said. "I don't want to." "You can want to go and still be afraid." "I know." "You can also be angry if it goes badly." Claire looked at her mother. "Who are you?" "Lorna's influence." The lunch lasted almost 3 hours. Claire came home afterward with red eyes and an untouched container of leftovers. She set it in our refrigerator and sat at the kitchen table. "Did he listen?" Ellen asked. "Eventually." "What happened before, eventually?" "He tried to explain that he was scared when I moved away." "That sounds true. It is true." "He also used it to explain everything else." "Did you tell him?" "Yes." "What did he do?" He stopped. Claire picked at the label on her food container. "He said he thought I was abandoning the family. I told him there were times I was. I wanted him to know what it felt like when the person who kept leaving was me." Ellen sat beside her. "Did that help?" "No. It was just honest." They remained at the table while I went outside and inspected a perfectly sound porch screw. Ryan did not emerge from that lunch with a repaired relationship. He and Claire began with occasional messages, mostly about ordinary things. A photograph of Joanne's new screened balcony. A joke about Walt's missing chairs. A restaurant Claire thought Vanessa would like. Nobody announced the ordinary messages. That was why they mattered. As Labor Day approached, the family conversation became active again. Diane asked what everyone was doing. Walt suggested visiting Joanne in South Carolina until Joanne reminded him her condominium had 1 guest room and she valued peace. No one volunteered Ellen's house. Ryan called us on a Thursday evening. "I'm thinking of having people over," he said. Ellen and I were in the kitchen shelling peas from the garden. Lorna had decided she hated peas too, which left us with more than we needed. "How many people?" Ellen asked. 8, maybe 10. One afternoon. "Who?" "You 2. Walt and Diane. Claire. If she wants to make the trip, but I haven't asked yet. Vanessa's sister, Renee. Lisa, if she's free. That's 9 with you and Vanessa, I said. Thank you, Census Department. What would you like from us? Ellen asked. For you to come. And that's it. She looked at the bowl of peas. Do you need an answer now? She asked. No? Talk about it. He did not explain who might move away or who might die before the following year. He said goodnight and hung up. Ellen rolled 1 pea between her fingers. Do you want to go? I asked. I think so. Then say yes. I'm waiting to discover your secret objection. My only objection is Renee once called my potato salad bland. It was bland. You put raisins in yours, once, in 1994. People remember. Ellen called Ryan back and accepted. He asked every guest what they could comfortably bring. Diane chose deviled eggs. Walt claimed drinks and added that ice was included, earning applause from no one. Renee offered dessert. Lisa brought bread. When Ryan asked Claire, she said she would come but preferred a hotel. He replied, Great. Want me to send you a few nearby options? No guilt, no report to Ellen, no attempt to negotiate on the hotel's behalf. Claire forwarded the exchange to her mother with the message, Look at your son behaving like a person. Ellen wrote back, Be nice to my son. Claire replied, Look at you letting him survive a joke. The gathering was on Saturday. I wore the first shirt I chose. Ellen wore her white pants again. Those survived last year? I asked. I was a guest. You remain reckless. She carried nothing to the car. No pie, no bag of parsley, no emergency serving spoon hidden in her purse. I checked because I had earned the suspicion. Ryan's yard looked different with only 1 table. The gate still stuck. Before I could lift it, he opened it from the other side. I fixed the hinge, he said. Did you read the manual? I called a professional. Growth. He hugged his mother without holding on too long. Vanessa sat under the canopy with Renee. She waved but did not get up. The kitchen door stood closed. No one moved in and out, carrying things every 30 seconds. Ryan had prepared the meal himself. Burgers, grilled vegetables, corn casserole, and a bowl of salad that he admitted came from a bag. You don't have to confess, Ellen said. I'm practicing honesty. The grill burned evenly. I inspected it from my chair. Ryan noticed. You want to check? No, you're allowed. I know. That seemed to satisfy both of us. Claire arrived 10 minutes late from her hotel. She hugged Ellen, then me. When Ryan approached, she hesitated. He stopped a few feet away. Handshake, he asked. That would be weird. Wave, worse. She hugged him. It lasted only a moment. When they separated, neither tried to turn it into a speech. Food was ready at the time Ryan had promised. People filled their own plates. Diane asked where the forks were, then opened a drawer and found them. Walt spilled lemonade and wiped it up with paper towels. Renee cut the pie she had brought. Nobody called Ellen's name from another room. The corn casserole had cheddar. Ellen tasted it. Still good, she said. Ryan smiled. I reduced the butter. Now you're making it your own. After dinner, we sat beneath the canopy while the light moved across the yard. Joanne called from South Carolina and appeared on Ryan's phone, holding it too close to her face. She showed us half a balcony and an excellent view of one nostril. Walt asked when she planned to host. Joanne disconnected the call. When it was time to clear the table, Ellen picked up her plate. I reached for it. She smiled. I've got it. I let go immediately. Across the table, Ryan watched the exchange. Not the offer, not the refusal. The space between them. He picked up his own plate and carried it inside. Later, he returned with slices of pie. He handed one to Ellen and sat beside her. Would you ever teach me the chicken dish? He asked. The one with the lemon and parsley. Ellen tasted the pie. Maybe someday. No rush. For now, I'd rather sit here. He nodded. The kitchen door stood open behind us. Dishes waited in the sink. Coffee had not been made. Somebody would eventually need to find foil for the leftovers. Ellen leaned back in her chair, holding her pie. This time, no one asked her to get up.